Chen Junai travels to the world of immortal cultivation. He struggled all the way to become the immortal emperor of the immortal realm, but when he was suppressing the demon emperor, his cultivation was exhausted, and he was expelled from the sect. Having seen through the ups and downs of life, he originally wanted to live in seclusion in order to achieve immortality. However, one day, Xia Xiao, the assassinated empress of the fairy world, fell in front of him and was poisoned. Thus, they formed a fleeting romance, and through dual cultivation, Chen Junai's foundation was restored, and he ascended to the position of immortal emperor again. In order not to implicate the father and son, Empress Xia Xiao left behind her twin children and left alone. Little did they know that Chen Junai had already become invincible in the world. He returned to the fairyland to find his wife and slew the immortals and the Taoist priests. Just now, a pair of 3-year-old twins, a boy and a girl, were playing and fighting on the grass. Their faces, as exquisitely carved as porcelain dolls, were filled with unique smiles. The one laughing happily is sister Chen Ziyuan, and the one smiling bitterly is brother Chen Zihao. The hurried cry of "Dad" broke the silence, and the handsome man rocking in the rocking chair opened his eyes. Seeing that the little boy was about to jump into his arms, Chen Junai disappeared with the rocking chair. "Daddy," Chen Zihao looked around and found his father on the big tree. She raised her head and complained, "Daddy, my sister bullied me again." He clenched his 2 little fists tightly, secretly hating himself for not living up to his expectations. It would have been fine if he couldn't beat his sister in the womb, but after surviving for 3 years, he discovered that his sister was still his sister. Chen Junai's face was serious as he taught her, "Hey, you have to handle your own affairs. There's no point in calling me daddy." As soon as he finished speaking, a little girl chased after him. "Brother, take it." Chen Ziyuan was determined to consolidate her position as an older sister. Seeing his sister's terrifying fist as big as a pigeon egg rushing towards him, Chen Zihao muttered in his heart, 3 years in the east, 3 years in the west. My sister will definitely not be my match in 3 years. Sister, I was wrong. Whoosh! Chen Ziyuan slammed on the brakes. The little hand tapped Chen Zihao's forehead. His eyes widened. What's wrong? Chen Zihao said aggrievedly, I shouldn't want to be my sister's brother. That's right. Chen Ziyuan rubbed Chen Zihao's head contentedly. Then he leaned over to Chen Zihao's ear and whispered, if you want a sister, you have to find daddy. Oh, tilde. Chen Zihao showed an expression of sudden enlightenment. This was a good idea. Since he couldn't beat his sister and couldn't be a brother, he could ask his father to have another child. My eyes lit up. Sister is so smart, tilde. Oh, that's right. Chen Ziyuan put his hands on his hips. But sister, can daddy give birth to a sister alone? Of course, our dad is awesome. That's great, our dad can do anything. The 2 little ones had admiration on their faces. Chen Junai was speechless when he saw this scene. It turned out that Hayar's beating was not in vain. In the blink of an eye, they have grown up so big. They are full of energy and vitality all day long. Then he smiled and decided that his father would not interfere in this matter. He was once the immortal emperor of the immortal realm, but due to an accident, he became a mortal and landed on this ancient continent, which is why everything he has today. Think about it, fate is really magical. The past is gone, no need to mention it. It's not as easy as taking care of a child now. Daddy, can you and Shidu give us a little sister? Chen Zihao had already pulled Chen Ziyuan to run in front of him at some point, and said with his head held high. His face was full of excitement, and his big eyes were full of anticipation. Chen Ziyuan also tilted his head and confided, Daddy, please give Xiaohao a sister soon, otherwise Xiaohao will always want to treat me as his sister. Chen Junai's face turned dark. Yuan or Hayar, Daddy can't? He had to admit defeat in this matter. It won't work without a mother. Chen Zihao was a little confused. Didn't Daddy say we popped out from a crack in the rock? The rock is our mother, so why can't that be true? Yes, Daddy, you are omnipotent and you must never give in. Please give birth to a little girl with Shidu, okay? Chen Ziyuan puffed out his cheeks. Few tilde born with Shidu. This made Chen Junai feel overwhelmed. The hole you dig yourself will eventually bury you. As an old father, of course he couldn't refuse the plea from the leaky little girl. Then he thought, after all, he was a promising young man from Blue Star, so taking care of the baby should be a piece of cake for him. He said seriously, of course this is not difficult for Daddy, but it will take time. He looked back and forth at the 2 children's little faces. If Yuaner and Hayar are willing to let Daddy step on their back, Daddy might be able to give birth to a sister. That's great, Daddy will give birth to a little sister. Yeah, Daddy is so awesome, we knew he could do it. Chen Zihao and Chen Ziyuan jumped up excitedly. Then one of them grabbed Chen Junai's hand, exerted all his strength, and even used all his strength on his little face to pull him away. "Daddy, get down quickly, Tilda. We'll step on your back." Seeing that his children were so kind, Chen Junai couldn't let them down. Lying in the grass with a smile on his face, "You and her Hayar, be gentle. Don't worry, Daddy, leave it to us." After the two little ones said that, they took off their shoes and jumped onto Chen Junai's back. "Step on it. I hope Daddy can give them a younger sister." And from time to time he would ask, "Daddy, are you feeling well?" "Of course it's comfortable." Chen Junai closed his eyes consciously and rested for a while. Being a stay-at-home dad is not easy, and taking care of two kids is even harder. You should enjoy yourself first. I just hope that when my wife comes back she won't chase him and chop him. However, it will take some time before they can officially tell their children that they were not born from cracks in the stone. Chen Junai felt the strength of the four little feet, but in his heart he was thinking of their beautiful mother. "Now I am even stronger than before, and this is all thanks to the power of Madam's immortal body. It's time to return to the fairyland." He had a cause and effect in the fairy world, and it was because of this cause and effect that he became immortal. Although it was very painful at first, he felt particularly relieved when he thought that it was because of this that he was able to meet his wife and have a pair of lovely twins, a boy and a girl. It seemed to be able to heal his embarrassing past, that he couldn't bear to look back on and alleviate all the pain. "Sister, step on my waist, Tilda. Zio Hao, step on your shoulders." Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao were busy in a daze, and they worked tirelessly for it. Chen Junai rationally resolved all the vitality that a person of this age should have. Chen Junai moved lazily and suddenly remembered something. He smiled and said, "You and her Hayar. Daddy, don't rush us. We are working hard." "Yes, I'm not rushing you. Daddy wants to tell you something." "Huh, what does Daddy want to tell us?" "Daddy, tell us quickly. After you finish, we will step on you." Chen Junai said, "In fact, you are all very powerful, far more powerful than you are now, but Daddy has sealed your cultivation." Chapter 2. The two little ones are 3-year-old emperors. Chen Junai steps into the fairyland again. Chen Ziyuan asked in confusion, "Why did Daddy seal our cultivation?" Chen Zihao's eyes lit up. This meant that he might be stronger than his sister. "I didn't even bother to step on my dad's back. Of course I'm afraid that you will cause harm everywhere." After Chen Junai finished speaking, dozens of talismans appeared in front of him. These talismans can unlock your cultivation. One talisman can unlock a major realm at a time. They are for you to use for self-defense. There was no other way. This pair of children were extremely talented and had immortal bodies. They made rapid progress under his training. Don't underestimate them because they are small and harmless. In fact, they cannot restrain their power and may easily destroy the void, causing sad stories of devastation to all lives. As long as they unlock all their cultivation, no one in the ancient continent will be their match. If he hadn't sealed the two little ones' cultivation, they might have broken through early and ascended to the fairyland on their own. So while they were still young and ignorant, and for fear of leaving him, their old father, behind, he had to seal them first. The two little ones looked at the floating talisman with excitement in their eyes. "Don't worry, Daddy. We will definitely not cause trouble to the people around us." Chen Junai was very pleased. The realms of cultivation in the ancient continent are divided into Qi refining, foundation establishment, profound understanding, golden elixir, divine court, transcendent, Tianyuan, spirit transformation, return to void, fusion, Tao palace, saint venerable, and great emperor. Each major realm is divided into levels 1 to the peak. Only after achieving nirvana and overcoming the tribulation can one ascend to become a true immortal. This pair of children have actually already reached the level of a great emperor. "Okay, these talismans are for you. Remember to use them carefully and discreetly. Don't use all of them unless you absolutely have to. Got it?" The two little ones nodded obediently. "Daddy, we know, don't worry." Chen Junai smiled. This way he could feel much more at ease. "Daddy, lie down quickly." "Yes, yes, Daddy, don't move, otherwise we will fall down." Although the two little ones received the talismans given by their daddy, they did not forget to ask their daddy to give birth to a sister. They can't be lazy. Chen Junai didn't dare to speak. "Daddy, please hurry up and give birth to my sister. Go tomorrow." "Yes, Daddy, you have to hurry up, Tilda." Okay, Daddy will go tomorrow. But being pregnant for 10 months is not easy." 10 months, Tilda, don't worry, Daddy, we don't care. We can take care of ourselves." After enjoying being trampled on by his children, Chen Junai was kicked out of the house, the next day to give birth to a sister for his children. This made him laugh and cry, as how could he conjure up another little girl? Fairyland. There are 33 fairyland, and the strength of each fairyland is different. The southern heavenly immortal realm, the Gate of Ascension. This is one of the passages for cultivators from the lower world to ascend to the immortal world. Every fairyland has such a place set up, and strong people are stationed there. Once someone becomes an immortal, he will be guided. If he is luckier, he will be valued by a powerful immortal sect and receive protection as soon as he ascends. At this time, Chen Junai appeared here. He is the one who will provide another little one in the next life. After all, he has promised to have a pair of children, and he cannot go back on his word easily. So, if you want to have a baby, you have to find the mother of the child. Where would my lady be? Chen Junai muttered to himself. He knew that Xia Xiao was not a mortal, so she must be in the fairyland. At that time, Xia Xiao was infected with a terrible aphrodisiac, which could only be cured by sexual intercourse. It just happened to fall in front of him, and as expected, he became the victim with all his cultivation gone. He was tied into the shape of a wood character and was tortured for 7 days and 7 nights, with no dignity at all. After that, they had a pair of twins, a boy and a girl, and they fell in love. It was after that that he was able to cultivate again, and after so many years, he returned to his peak state, even becoming more powerful. He knew that it was because of Xia Xiao's immortal body that he was able to escape from his mortal body again. Interestingly, Xia Xiao is his loving wife, the kind who gave him a second life. Otherwise, he would not have been able to find a way to restore his cultivation. Likewise, he will certainly repay you with gratitude. But now, since he didn't know Xia Xiao's origins, he could only search everywhere, or send someone to look for it to save time. And how could he easily pick up the cause and effect that happened to him in the past? However, for his wife, he was willing to try. Yuan or Hayar is very well behaved. There shouldn't be any problem. Chen Junai murmured, then looked at the huge Gate of Ascension. The Emperor of the lower world can become a true immortal after going through nirvana and overcoming the tribulation. Above the true immortals are earth immortals, celestial immortals, golden immortals, immortal kings, immortal lords, immortal venerables, immortal emperors, and absolute immortals. And he is much stronger now than before. It is only one step away from becoming an immortal. With his current strength, he can certainly cross the border easily. Qingshuan Dao sect is the top sect in the southern heaven immortal realm. Perhaps we can ask them a few questions. Qingshuan Taoist sect was the immortal sect where he was in the immortal world back then. And he is certainly not returning to the sect now. It was just to save time, and there were some of his former friends and senior sisters in Qingshuan Dao sect. When Chen Junai thought of this, he took a step forward. He didn't want to cause any trouble. He just wanted to give his wife a surprise. The group of powerful men guarding the Ascension Gate were stunned for a moment. It seemed like something just broke through. Forget it, never mind. By the way, where were we talking about just now? The Qingshuan Dao sect's eternal night, immortal emperor, suppressed the demon emperor. Then let's continue. Back then, the immortal emperor of eternal night suppressed the demon emperor, allowing the entire immortal realm to breathe. It's a shame that he ended up with his cultivation completely destroyed and was even expelled from the sect. What a pity. Why were you expelled from the sect? Perhaps it's because he's overshadowed the other immortal emperors, so the dissipation of his cultivation has become an excuse. Without cultivation, it's indeed difficult to gain a foothold in the immortal realm. What a shame. The Eternal Night Immortal Emperor's whereabouts are unknown, and he has lost his cultivation. I'm afraid he will eventually be unable to withstand the erosion of time. Chen Junai stepped through the Ascension Gate and arrived near the Qingshuan Taoist sect in the blink of an eye. Then he started playing the flute. It's not that his music is special, but this Eternal Night Fairy flute has been with him for a long time, and perhaps someone will not forget it. Beep, 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 tilde. It didn't take a moment. A shadow came down quickly. Junior brother. She was a woman, and when she saw Chen Junai, her tone was obviously full of surprise. As expected, you are back. Chen Junai smiled softly. Senior sister, how are you? Senior sister Mo Qingru was still very good to him, but things did not go as planned at the beginning. Mo Qingru was stunned, feeling mixed emotions for a moment. Junior brother, what is your cultivation level? Didn't it break up? Why are you still in the fairyland? Sister, I've only just recovered some strength. Chen Junai didn't explain much. I came to Qingshuan Dao sect this time to ask for your help. Recover, junior brother, can you practice now? Then Mo Qingru's face turned angry. In that case, junior brother, please return to Qingshuan Dao sect. Senior sister will definitely help you with all her strength. Chen Junai shook his head. I'm not interested. Mo Kingru became anxious. Junior brother, it was the sect that took advantage of your misfortune, and it was someone who harmed you. Don't you want revenge? If you can restore your foundation, you will definitely have the opportunity to return to the top. Senior sister knows you feel wronged, but how can you swallow this anger? My junior brother back then was the youngest immortal emperor in the immortal realm, a man of extraordinary talent and prowess. He was even more formidable than the elders of the Qingshuan Dao sect. If it weren't for the accident that happened later, my junior brother wouldn't have fallen into such a predicament. Senior sister, don't say too much. Let the past be the past. I just want to live for myself, Chen Junai said calmly. Hearing this, Mo Kingru swallowed her saliva and finally stopped talking. Senior sister respects your choice. Then why are you here this time? Chen Junai said, for my wife, her name is Zia Jiao. Chapter 3, that man is back, looking for his wife. Madam, Mo Kingru was stunned. No one expected that Chen Junai would come to Qingshuan Taoist sect again, just for his wife. So, junior brother, you are married. The voices could not help but get louder. Chen Junai nodded. They are indeed married. I wonder if senior sister, who is in the immortal realm, has ever heard of the name Zia Jiao. Mo Kingru was speechless for a moment. The immortal emperor no longer had any hatred for her, and actually came to look for his wife, taking their love into consideration. Zia Jiao, thinking about the name carefully, made her expression slightly solemn. Senior sister, have you heard of it? Mo Kingru shook her head. I've never heard of this name, but something big happened in the immortal realm recently. A female emperor from the Jidao Imperial Palace appeared in the world, and it is said that her surname is also Zia. The Imperial Palace of Extreme Dao. Of course, Chen Junai couldn't judge based on a surname. As for the Jidao Imperial Palace, it is the largest immortal gate in the Jishiandao immortal realm and is extremely powerful. That's right, Mo Kingru nodded. It is said that this female immortal emperor was secretly cultivated by the Jidao Imperial Palace and has been hiding ever since. She broke through the immortal emperor realm in recent years and appeared in the immortal realm. She must be a formidable powerhouse. However, it seems that some hidden events have occurred, causing some chaos within the Jidao Imperial Palace. There are also signs of other forces interfering. I cannot know the details with my strength. Chen Junai seemed to be lost in thought. He was just a mortal at first and couldn't see through Zia Jiao's cultivation, but he thought it was not bad. However, connecting it with the Empress of the Jidao Imperial Palace is still a little hard to imagine, so this possibility is not very high. Seeing Chen Junai remain silent, Mo Kingru continued, Junior brother, I'm just reminding you. It's not necessarily true, so don't take it to heart. It's a good thing that Chen Junai has recovered his foundation. But a place like the Jidao Imperial Palace is one that even the Chen Junai back then would not be able to easily step into. She was afraid that Chen Junai would act impulsively because of a guess, which would bring him into trouble. Senior sister, I know. Then will you go to the Jidao Imperial Palace to confirm this matter? There are so many people in the Zia family, junior brother, think twice. Chen Junai smiled brightly. Don't worry, senior sister. What if this is just a misunderstanding? If Madam knew that I went to the Jidao Imperial Palace for another woman, she would be jealous. So I won't act rashly until I'm sure. Mo Kingru was stunned by the sudden dog food. Junior brother, you have changed. Chen Junai, the immortal emperor, actually became like a man in love for a woman. Senior sister, just think of it as me who has changed. Just after he finished speaking, Chen Junai noticed some other auras approaching. He bowed and said, Senior sister, I'll be leaving first. As for Zia Jiao's matter, if you have any clues, please let me know. Wait, junior brother, you really don't want to go back with me? Mo Kingru tried to persuade him. Chen Junai simply said, see you later. Then he left. Mo Kingru sighed, see you later. That man is back. He was just here to look for his wife. The Qingshuan Taoist sect no longer has the peak it once was. As for the name Zia Jiao, she did remember it. The next moment, several strong men appeared around. It's the eternal night fairy flute. Chen Junai is back. There's absolutely no mistake. Such an unpleasant song must be his. They are the elders of Qingshuan Taoist sect, and all of them are powerful in the immortal world. But they are not the opponents of Chen Junai back then. They can only crush him because of their seniority. Then they all looked at Mo Kingru. They knew that Mo Kingru and Chen Junai had always been close. Girl, is he back? Asked the elder. But his face didn't look good. Mo Kingru said, to the elders, it is my junior brother who has returned. Then he left in style. The elders were left looking at each other in bewilderment. Chen Zhonai is back. How is that possible? So he's recovered his roots. He wouldn't be resentful of what happened back then, and destroy the Qingshuan Dao sect, right? Then they might be trapped in the eternal night forever. After realizing what was happening, he immediately chased after Mo Qingru. He had to get to the bottom of this matter. What is Chen Zhonai's purpose in returning? Why did you leave again? Do you still want to join Qingshuan Dao sect? All of these need to be made clear. The Jishiandao immortal realm. The magnificent and majestic imperial palace. In the palace, a stunningly beautiful woman was staring out the window in a daze. There was a hint of sadness between her brows. Husband Yuaner Hayar, are you all okay? Zia Jiao shook her head bitterly. How can a husband be without a wife, and children without a mother? Sorry. She closed her beautiful eyes in pain. She had no choice. My husband was just an ordinary mortal in the beginning. Even though he embarked on the path of cultivation because of her exquisite immortal body, he was still too weak. The unexpected marriage she had formed many years ago was not something she could control. The karma surrounding her, simply her strength and status, would inevitably bring a death threat to her husband and children. She can't gamble. This marriage eventually turned into an ill-fated one. It's been 3 years. Husband, you should be stronger now. Yuaner and Hayar should have made some progress in their cultivation. Thinking of this, Zia Jiao revealed a slightly gentle smile. However, recalling the beginning of all this, she still looked frosty. By Yuan's, it was this person who poisoned her in the first place, forcing her to flee to the underworld to avoid losing her virginity. Not entirely. In the end, she lost her virginity to her husband, including her exquisite immortal body that Bai Yuan had always coveted. But Bai Yuan has a distinguished identity. He is the emperor's son of the largest immortal sect in the desolate heaven immortal realm. It was no worse than the Jidao imperial palace. In addition, she did not leave sufficient evidence, and Bai Yuan refused to admit it. In the end, the Jidao imperial palace had no way to deal with them. When I become an immortal, I will definitely destroy the palace of the wilderness emperor. Zia Jiao suppressed her anger. The desolate emperor palace was the power Bai Yuan belonged to. If this cause and effect wasn't resolved, her husband and children wouldn't be safe. But by the time she reaches the rank of supreme immortal, her children will be so grown up that I wonder if they will even recognize me as their mother. At this time, a woman appeared beside Zia Jiao. Jiao, are you feeling amorous again? Faced with this woman's teasing, Zia Jiao felt a headache. Qingsu, if you keep talking nonsense, I'll hit you. Oh, you're still hitting me. I'm so scared. You have such big breasts. Su Qingsu pretended to shiver, then smiled and said, Are you thinking about your precious husband and Yuaner Hayar? Zia Jiao didn't deny it. Of course I do. I think about whether they are living well. How will children without a mother live? Su Qingsu is her best friend. No matter how big the gap between them is, they can always be close friends. The fact that she had a mortal husband and a pair of twin children was known to all the top officials in the Jidao imperial palace, but they couldn't do anything to her. Of course, it was concealed from the outside world. Su Qingsu didn't know how to comfort them, so she could only sarcastically say, Mothers are different. Poor Yuaner and Hayar are following their even more pitiful father. I'm afraid they're not eating or sleeping well, and their cultivation is also affected. They're far behind other children. Chapter 4 about the eternal night immortal emperor. Zia Jiao looked at Su Qingsu with great joy and was unable to refute for a moment. It's better to delay it than to get into danger with me. I believe my husband can take good care of them. She has tried her best and found that her husband is reliable in all aspects except his weak strength. After they had been together for a while, she could always feel a kind of vicissitudes of life and mystery in her husband, an inexplicable sense of security, which was hard to explain and very magical. Su Qingsu fanned away the sour smell in the air in disgust. Jiao, I suggest you take them over. We at the Jidao Imperial Palace are more confident in dealing with the desolate Emperor Palace. We can't let these two little ones follow your husband and waste their entire lives in cultivation. The consequences will be far-reaching, and you'll regret it. Zia Jiao shook her head slightly. You don't understand the feelings of being married. Besides not letting them get caught up in my karma, I also have to consider my husband's dignity. If I let them come here, can he withstand the pressure from those immortals? She was not belittling her husband, but was speaking the truth. After her husband knew her identity, he must have felt inferior and had not told her. This would have a bad influence on their 2 children and set a negative example. The children might even doubt their father as their guardian. You're protecting me like this? Su Kingsu's eyes widened. She was convinced this little husband was too spoiled. Okay, you have the final say. She silently thought to herself that she must not find such a bad husband in the future. Otherwise, it would be too troublesome. Then he pulled on the corner of Zia Jiao's clothes and looked at her for a while. Jiao, although you can't meet, you still have to go on with your life. You're dressed so simply, without any hair accessories. I thought we at Jidao Imperial Palace couldn't afford to buy you anything. After all, you are an immortal emperor secretly cultivated by the Jidao Imperial Palace. You should wear something gorgeous and noble. Only then will you be worthy of your status. Zia Jiao blinked. So what? They're not here, so who am I wearing it for? Su Kingsu was completely speechless. Then, whatever you want. Then he thought of something and smiled meaningfully. Jiao, I heard that you were quite fond of the Eternal Knight Immortal Emperor back then. She knew some hidden secrets. In order to meet the Eternal Knight Immortal Emperor, Zia Jiao made crazy breakthroughs and finally became the Immortal Emperor. Only then did she get permission from the top leaders of the Jidao Imperial Palace to expose the secrets. Unfortunately, the Eternal Knight Immortal Emperor is gone again. This story is very sad. How many women in this world would not fall in love with a man like that? Zia Jiao asked back. Besides, the Eternal Knight Immortal Emperor is here to suppress the Demon Emperor. I just want to see the Emperor's demeanor. It's not like I'm in love with him. Su Kingsu curled her lips. Is this true? Of course it's true. Zia Jiao remained calm. Also, I have a husband and children now. Unlike you, I won't joke around like this anymore. Even if she jumped from the Jidao Imperial Palace, she would never fall in love with the Eternal Knight Immortal Emperor. Otherwise, her Dao heart would be shattered. Su Kingsu felt a little guilty. Okay, I get it. You and I are different, and we can't joke around like we used to. Can't you leave the Eternal Knight Immortal Emperor to me to admire? That's more like it. But it's a pity that the Eternal Knight Immortal Emperor disappeared. Su Kingsu sighed. It is really sad to see the youngest Immortal Emperor go through such an experience. Zia Jiao glanced at him calmly and asked, What does it have to do with me? Everything is just fate and cause and effect. Anyway, the Eternal Knight Immortal Emperor is gone. After saying goodbye to Mokingru, Chen Jun I traveled around the world. Coming back again always brings a different kind of emotion. But suddenly he sneezed. I touched my nose subconsciously. He, the Immortal Emperor, actually sneezed for no apparent reason. Then I didn't care. Jiao, where will you be? The fairy world is so big, it's not easy to find someone. If the lady is of noble status, then it would be easier to tell and get news. If it is ordinary or hidden, it will be even harder to find. Of course, he could also make a big move, issue a missing person notice, or release his perception to search the entire fairy world. But doing so would easily lead the lady to misunderstand that she was wanted, and it would also easily attract other people, and it would also miss the surprise. In addition, if the lady has a special status, then doing so would be like alerting the enemy, and I wonder if it would bring trouble to the lady. But thinking about his son and his little girl, he couldn't waste too much time. It will probably be easier with my senior sister here, Chen Jun, I thought. Senior sister has connections in the fairy world, which means she has an intelligence system, which is always a hope. Jiao, I believe we will meet soon. Practice and cultivate relationships. His union with Zia Jiao was destined to be bound together by cause and effect. Millions of causes and effects would eventually converge. He believed in immortal fate. The Jidao Imperial Palace. Thinking of the immortal gate mentioned by his senior sister, Chen Jun, shook his head. Although the Empress also had the surname Zia, it is really difficult to confirm. In order to avoid making his wife jealous, he couldn't just go and confirm it. Otherwise, it would be very embarrassing if he made a mistake. Even if he fell to his death from here, there was no way he could run directly to the Jidao Imperial Palace. Ancient continent, Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao were playing happily in the Pure World Valley. It seemed as if it made no difference whether Dad was there to take care of them or not, because it was more like they were taking care of Dad every day, and now it was actually more relaxed. Sister, we used the talismans Dad gave us and have reached the fusion realm. Chen Zihao was a little excited. Because he is more powerful. Unfortunately, my sister has become even stronger and I can't beat her. Absolutely not at all. That's right, Xiao Hao. We are already cultivators in the fusion realm. We will definitely be able to catch more beautiful monsters. Chen Ziyuan's face was serious. In order to welcome their younger sister, they had to make good preparations. So these past few days, they had been busy beautifying the Pure World Valley, planting flowers and plants. Besides that, they also wanted to capture some beautiful monsters to welcome their younger sister. So without strength, they could not do it. They could only use the talismans given by their father. Of course, their minds did not allow them to be less cautious, so they did not go too far, only using the fusion realm. Then, during these days, he went out and captured a few beautiful monsters and brought them back. He also had some friction with other cultivators, which was not easy. However, they easily resolved it. Daddy is going to give birth to a little sister for us. We must capture many more beautiful monsters. Then we welcome our little sister to join us. Yes, my sister will definitely like it. But Daddy is so slow in giving birth to my sister. It took 10 months. Yeah, it's okay, it's okay. We can take care of ourselves and don't have to take care of Daddy. We can also have a little sister. It's killing 3 birds with 1 stone. That's right. Then, sister, let's go to the city to buy some delicious food, Chen Zihao suddenly suggested. Seeing his brother drooling, Chen Ziyuan felt disgusted, but still reached out to wipe the saliva for Chen Zihao. Smiling, okay, Ziohao, let's go to the nearby city to buy some delicious food, and buy some other things. Chapter 5, The Devil Child Arrives. It feels like he's talking about us. Soon, Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao ran out. They wanted to buy some things and watch the fireworks. Of course, they were fully armed before going out just in case they, as 3-year-old children, were kidnapped by bad guys. Make sure you don't get kidnapped, although there may not be anyone who can defeat them, but just in case. Now, they had arrived near a city called Anta City. In order to be more low-key and safe, they did not dare to fly with their swords after getting close, but ran away honestly to avoid being targeted. Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao rushed towards the city gate. Here we come. The entrance fee is 1 spirit stone per person. A group of city guards were guarding the gate of Anta City. After Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao quickly handed over 2 spirit stones, they ran into the city excitedly. The guards guarding the city were all confused, looking down at the 2 little ones who were gradually going away. Oh my God, kids these days are so independent. This should be no more than 3 years old, right? He came here on his own, even carrying spirit stones. If a ruthless person were to target us, we wouldn't be able to protect our small treasury. That will affect the reputation of our Anta City. No one will come to Anta City in the future. How can we earn spirit stones then? The captain of the guards couldn't bear to watch any longer. You, go follow the 2 little guys and don't let them get robbed. Yes, a guard immediately followed. After entering Anta City, Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao were skipping along the street, carrying bamboo baskets on their backs. Watching the people coming and going, his face is full of childlike innocence. But they found a group of people gathered on the side of the road, and they curiously went over to watch the fun. Then I heard some gossip. A tall and mighty man, with a look of lingering fear, said, "You may not know, but I heard that something strange has been going on in the Luan-Gu Mountains recently. Many powerful cultivators have been inexplicably knocked unconscious while hunting monsters. Who did it? Who knows, but it is said that there are always 2 boys and girls who appear, about 3 years old. It definitely wasn't them. How could a 3-year-old be so powerful? Who says it's not? But think about it. Is it normal for 2 children to appear in a place like the Luan-Gu Mountains? So many people suspect that the mountain god of the Luan-Gu Mountains has appeared and sent 2 demon children to protect the creatures in the mountains. The devil child has arrived. This is so interesting, even more interesting than the storytellers in the west of the city. At this time, they heard a child's voice. "Huh, uncle, are you talking about us?" Chen Zihao asked curiously. They didn't expect that they would end up eating the melon themselves. Because in recent days, in order to catch beautiful monsters to welcome their sister, the brother and sister have been doing this kind of thing, and it is inevitable that there will be friction and disputes with others, so they can only use the big club to knock the other party unconscious. This sound frightened everyone in the already tense atmosphere and made them shudder and tremble all over. "Look down. Haha, kids, we're talking about the devil child arriving, not you." Everyone burst into laughter at the 2 little ones, which eased the awkwardness. Are you kidding? The Luangu Mountains are hundreds of miles away from Anta City, and 2 little kids can't even walk there. Okay, go play, little one. Oh, Chen Zihao walked away puzzled. Sister, I feel like they are talking about us. They happen to be in the Luangu Mountains, and they happen to be 3-year-old boys and girls. It was obviously them. Chen Ziyuan curled his lips. Yes, but they don't believe it. But the name Motong is so strange, it makes us sound like the bad guys. Chen Zihao nodded quickly. Yes, we are good people. Chen Ziyuan then noticed something and reminded. Zyro, how? We seem to be being followed by the guards of the city lord's mansion. Chen Zihao looked around and found that it was true. Sister, why is the guard from the city lord's mansion following us? Could he be lost? Tilda, that shouldn't be the case. Chen Ziyuan shook his head. But this guy was just at the city gate. We don't feel comfortable following him around like this, so let's send him to the city lord's mansion. Okay. They smiled at each other. The guard was a little surprised to find that the two children could still notice him. What a keen insight. He smiled slightly, but he was watching over the two children to make sure they were not robbed of their spirit stones. Otherwise, if the news got out, Anta City would have a bad reputation. So don't lose it. But the next moment, he felt a black screen before his eyes. After a while, Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao were jumping and skipping on the street again. No one is following them now, right? Easy fix, send him home. There were many pedestrians on the streets of Anta City, and suddenly Chen Zihao became puzzled, looking at those pairs of mothers and children walking around, holding hands, talking and laughing. A different feeling welled up in my heart, a very unfamiliar feeling. Sister, have you noticed that it seems that their mothers are not made of stone? Chen Zihao said, pointing to a child who was about the same age as them. The child was stunned for a moment. Stone mother. His expression was confused, clearly a little beyond his comprehension. The child's mother was also stunned for a moment, then smiled slightly. Chen Ziyuan nodded in agreement. Zio, I've noticed this a long time ago. But we should trust Daddy. We just popped out of cracks in the rocks. We are different, and of course Mom is different too. That's right, but sister, it feels good to see them with Mother Tilda. Yes, I envy her too, but our mother is not a human being. Seeing this, Chen Zihao touched Chen Ziyuan's face with his little hand and comforted her. Don't be sad, sister. There are so many stones everywhere, which means our mother has a lot of them. Daddy is omnipotent and will definitely turn Mother into a human one day. That's right, Daddy can definitely do it. When Daddy gives birth to a younger sister, we will ask Daddy to turn Mom into a human. Chen Ziyuan smiled and felt that he was very smart. Then let's go, sister. Okay. Seeing Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao walking away, the child raised his head and asked, Mother, are you a stone spirit? The woman's face darkened. Gauden, Mother is not a stone spirit. Mother, then why do they say their mother is a stone? Gauden, that's just to coax the kids. They don't understand that they actually have a mother, but they just can't see her. It's so pitiful. Oh. Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao walked hand in hand and skipped for a while. Being naturally curious, their attention is quickly drawn to other things. Sister, look, there's an old man in tattered clothes teasing the birds on the roadside. Chapter 6, An Old Beggar. Chen Ziyuan's eyes lit up. What a beautiful bird. How about snatching it? Then he quickly shook his head and said, No, the old man is already very pitiful. As he was talking, he consciously moved over to take a look. A slovenly old man, covered in dirt, was sitting on the side of the road. His hair was disheveled, but he had a smile on his face as he let the bird fly into his palm and eat. The birds also landed on the old man's shoulders and arms with great trust, and even brought their families with them. Appears to be extremely harmonious. There was a broken bowl in front of him. Occasionally, a few spirit stones would fall into the bowl, making crisp sounds when they collided. Mom, those birds are so cute. We can't usually catch them. The children passing by were a little excited. The beautiful woman, however, had a look of disgust on her face. What's so cute about him? He's just a beggar stinking, let's go. He moved away when his son was mentioned. The old man turned a blind eye to these voices. Even when someone took pity on him and gave him spirit stones, he just expressed his gratitude slightly and didn't care. Then just do your own thing. Suddenly a childish voice rang in my ears. Grandpa, are you selling this little bird? Chen Ziyuan said. Is it okay to just buy it? The old man looked up and saw 2 3-year-old children, and then a glimmer of light appeared in his eyes. He laughed dumbly and said, Little friend, they are my friends. How could I betray my friends? Chen Ziyuan felt a little sorry. Grandpa, since they are your friends, forget it. The old man laughed and said, I am just a homeless beggar. You can just call me old beggar. There is no need to call me grandpa, otherwise it will make you look out of place. How can that be possible? Chen Zihao said seriously. Daddy said you can't judge a person by appearance. Even a small person can have a broad mind. Even if he lives on the streets, he can still be famous forever. Who hasn't experienced the peak and the downfall? The old man said in surprise, Then your father must be very powerful, and he is also a man with a story. Of course, Chen Ziyuan thought he was impeccable. Our dad is the most powerful man in the world. That's right, Chen Zihao puffed out his chest. But Grandpa, why did you choose to be a beggar? The old man was offended, but he didn't care. He smiled and said, for innocence, for innocence. Oh, the two little ones didn't quite understand. Then how did you become friends with these birds, Grandpa? It must be difficult, right? The old man heard this and said, of course it's because of trust. Okay, some things are hard for you to understand, but I see that you have extraordinary talents. Are you willing to inherit my legacy? He meant it sincerely, and of course, he also wanted to meet the father of these two children. When Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao heard this, they were suddenly stunned. Inherit the mantle. Why does it sound like child trafficking? Seeing that the two kids were a little confused, the old man could naturally understand, and then took out an ancient yellow sword manual. He waved in front of Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao. Don't worry, I'm sincere and I'm definitely not fooling you. The two children probably didn't quite understand. Otherwise, such an opportunity would be something that ordinary people would not be able to obtain, let alone his inheritance as the Changzheng Sword Emperor. Chen Ziyuan took a look and saw that it was a sword manual. Then it wasn't someone who kidnapped us. He said sternly, Grandpa, we see that you are in great shape, have poor food, sleep poorly, and have no home. You are quite pitiful. Are you willing to inherit our legacy? I'm not quite sure what the inheritance is, but it would definitely be right to tell him about it. Chen Zihao casually took out a sword manual, which was actually of immortal level. Grandpa, if you are willing to inherit our legacy, we will teach you. Changzheng Sword Emperor was completely stunned. Who would have thought that he, the mighty Changzheng Sword Emperor, with such a great reputation, would end up living on the streets and being taught a lesson by 2-3-year-olds? Don't play by the rules. Then he set his eyes on the sword manual, and his expression was visibly shocked. What a powerful sword will! Changzheng Sword Emperor exclaimed in his heart. Just by taking a look at the sword manual, he could sense the terrifying power contained in it. And Changzheng, to some extent, already represents the pinnacle of swordsmanship. As a result, he was taught a lesson by the two little guys today, and he almost wanted to vomit blood. Grandpa, are you willing? Chen Zihao urged. No matter whether he wants to kidnap them or not, they will kidnap them first. Seeing this, Changzheng Sword Emperor laughed heartily. My child, I was foolish and misjudged you. I cannot accept this thing. It's hard to believe what level of sword manual this is, that it can give him such a dangerous feeling. In short, it can't be simple. These two children must be from very important backgrounds. He is marrying up. He was worrying too much. Without him, it seemed that the two children would not be in much danger. Grandpa, if you don't want it, does that mean you're refusing to inherit our legacy? Chen Ziyuan asked back. Changzheng Sword Emperor suddenly felt a little overwhelmed. My child, this is no joke. I can't bear it. If we are destined to meet again, we will meet again. Oh, the two little ones were confused. It's just the Eternal Night Sword Manual given by Daddy. Why can't Grandpa bear it? Afterwards, they bowed and said goodbye in a formal manner. Changzheng Sword Emperor watched the two children leave with a smile on his face. He never thought that he, the dignified Changzheng Sword Emperor, would one day be guided by two children. Such an encounter between people of different ages. Maybe the two children did it unintentionally, but the appearance of the sword manual was a stimulation to him. Perhaps the pursuit of a more powerful sword is his path. Changzheng Sword Emperor looked at the sky. Perhaps that was an immortal. After leaving, Chen Ziyuan smiled and said, Zyro Hao, let's go buy some things and go back early. Okay, sister. Chen Zihao was a little greedy. They usually eat various herbs, fruits, and meats. They don't eat any strange foods, such as candied haws and sugar men, which are quite satisfying. This time when I come to Anta City, I must stock up on a lot. Then the two of them skipped over to a tailor shop. They first bought a lot of beautiful silk, brocade to make a set of couple clothes for Daddy and Shidu mother, and then make a set of sister clothes for themselves and their sister. Together, they would make clothes for the whole family. As for whether they will do it or not, it is not within their consideration for the time being. Anyway, their brains have caught up. In a corner not far away, several thugs stared at Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao, and when they saw them running into a store, they smiled slightly. Chapter 7. There really are human traffickers who kidnap children. A man with a gloomy face said, We're lucky. 2 children almost 3 years old are straying from the street. If we can catch them, they'll definitely fetch a good price. Among them was an old woman with a gloomy face. Her eyes flashed. It's true. The two of them went to that kind of shop. I believe they also have some spirit stones on them. It can be considered an unexpected fortune. But they just ran out like this. Could they have some background? A gangster asked warily. Although they are human traffickers, they are not fools. The children of high-ranking officials and nobles cannot be touched. Only the children of ordinary people can be captured. Oh, they're just two ignorant little brats. They were just talking a lot of nonsense with that street beggar. They're really naive. Besides, they're dressed in ordinary clothes, so I don't think they have any background. The two children clearly looked innocent and foolish. So how could they be the sons of high-ranking officials or powerful people? Unless they are pretending, which is obviously not possible. That's right, the old woman agreed. Wait a minute, just keep an eye on the surroundings. If anything changes, we'll leave as soon as possible. I'll take care of the rest. To fool the two children, it must be easier for her, an experienced old woman, to succeed. Just think about how sad their parents must be without such a pair of children. It doesn't matter, they are not the only pair of parents anyway. The others nodded and then dispersed. They were responsible for providing cover and dealing with unexpected situations. However, they had no idea that in the sky above their heads, terrifying sword energies had already formed in the clouds. The sword energy did not appear to be swinging out, but rather was stationary. It seems like it will come at any moment. Changjiang's sword emperor on the street closed his eyes. After entering the tailor's shop, Chen Ziyuan said, "Boss, we want to buy the best silk." The shopkeeper was sitting leisurely on a chair with a bowl in his hand. I could only hear his voice but not see him. I wondered, where are the people? Did I hear it wrong? I thought there was business. "Boss, please look down at us." Chen Ziyuan suspected that the boss's eyesight was not good. "Heard." The shopkeeper then realized that there were two children blocking the way behind the table. "Boss, what are you drinking? Is it delicious?" Chen Zihao's attention was on the bowl in the shopkeeper's hand. He showed some anticipation. The shopkeeper burst out laughing. "What an interesting little fellow. Child, this is medicine for my cold. It's not good to drink, it's bitter." "Oh," Chen Zihao tilted his head. "Then can you cure my cold?" The shopkeeper was silent. Chen Ziyuan rolled his eyes at his brother speechlessly. "Shopkeeper, don't listen to my brother. We're here to buy silk fabrics." The shopkeeper smiled and said, "Is that so? Then what about your parents or other relatives will do? Daddy is not here and mommy is a stone. We want to make clothes for daddy and the stone mommy." Poof, the shopkeeper almost vomited out the medicine he had swallowed, his eyes widening. "Is your mother a stone?" His expression was so weird. "That's right, we jumped out from between the rocks." Chen Zihao stared at the bowl in the shopkeeper's hand and nodded repeatedly. Chen Ziyuan was puzzled. "Boss, is there any problem?" The shopkeeper was speechless. Then he shook his head. "Of course there's a problem. You are normal children. How could your mother be a stone? Not to mention that you popped out of a stone. That's impossible." "But this is what Daddy told us," Chen Zihao said, unconvinced. "The shopkeeper is trying to coax the children. Don't think they're easy to fool just because they're young." Chen Ziyuan definitely supported his brother and echoed, "Brother is right, Daddy won't fool us." The shopkeeper felt a headache for a moment, then he laughed heartily. "Interesting, interesting. Your father is just teasing you. Maybe you haven't seen your mother. If you see her one day, you'll understand." Upon hearing this, Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao began to doubt. They had indeed never seen their mother in person. They were saying how different they were, that they had no mothers, while other children all had mothers. So it turned out that their father was fooling them. "No, I have to ask Dad later." Chen Ziyuan suppressed his thoughts and said, "Boss, we still have to make clothes for Daddy." Okay, you are a really filial child. What color do you want to buy?" The shopkeeper didn't care. "Red, Daddy will definitely like it," Chen Ziyuan said, and then asked suspiciously, "Boss, you don't think we are profiteers just because we are young, do you?" Hearing this, the shopkeeper almost got furious. These two kids suspected him again. He put down the bowl in his hand and took out the sign next to him, which had the 4 characters, "Two sleeves, clean wind," written on it. He put it in the two little ones' faces and let them see it. He said seriously, "Look at what this is. We're a small business, we're honest and trustworthy. How could I treat you as profiteers just because you're young? Absolutely not." Chen Ziyuan exclaimed, "Incorruptible." "Incorruptible?" The shopkeeper took one look and quickly took it back. "Wrong, wrong." Embarrassed, he pulled out another sign and said, "This is it, honest and fair. See, this word child refers to you. It's so obvious that it couldn't be more obvious." "Then we believe you," Chen Ziyuan smiled. "That's right." The shopkeeper felt relieved. The fact that I was the city lord was almost exposed. Then he said, "By the way, do you have any spirit stones? We can't afford to do business at a loss." Chen Ziyuan curled his lips and said, "Boss, why are you panicking? Even if you don't have spirit stones, you can still mortgage your brother here. You won't lose anything anyway." The shopkeeper and Chen Zihao stared at each other, but he decided to give up because he was afraid that Chen Zihao would snatch the medicine from him. "Here, spirit stones, the shopkeeper will give them to you." While speaking, Chen Ziyuan had already taken out a bag of spirit stones. When the shopkeeper saw the bulging bag, he was shocked. "Oh my God, this is a rich family. Kid, one spirit stone is enough." "Huh, how come it's so cheap?" "You guys are lucky, today's sale is on." "Yeah, that's great, thank you very much, boss." Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao became happy, and then prepared to leave with the silk in their arms. Before leaving, Chen Zihao turned around and asked, "Is that medicine really not tasty?" Chen Ziyuan pulled his stinky brother away. The shopkeeper smiled as he watched the two little ones leave. "Good. Look, with this city lord guarding Anta-City, it's well organized, friendly, and harmonious. Even the two children are so filial. So touching. It's not in vain that this city lord has such clean hands. It's just that these two kids are a bit pitiful, fooled by their father, and they don't even know they have a mother. He even said they jumped out of a crack in the stone, which is hilarious. Looking at it this way, it's only right to give them a discount. It seems like there are a few sneaky guys out there." Chapter 8, We Kidnap the Human Traffickers. After Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao left, they quickly ran to buy candied haws. I bought a lot of them very quickly and was finally satisfied. By now, the baskets they were carrying were full. At this moment, the little mouth was stuffed with stuff. "Sister is so sweet." "Yes, we must keep some and bring sweetness to daddy and sister." Chen Ziyuan fulfilled his attitude of never leaking anything. As for whether their mother was made of stone, they had forgotten about it for the time being. However, they had begun to believe in their hearts that they had a normal mother. But at this moment, an old woman approached them with a smile on her face, looking like a kind old lady from the neighborhood. "Child, there are only two of you. Have you lost your parents?" Chen Ziyuan turned her head in confusion and saw that everyone was talking about their father and mother. But they only had a father and no mother, which made her suspect that their mother must be the one. "Old lady, we haven't lost our parents. They are always here with us." The old woman's heart sank. Was it really? Why didn't they notice? Then she said calmly, "Then where are they? Why would they let you leave alone? It's very dangerous. It's a good thing you met a good person like me, otherwise you would have been easily fooled. Daddy and Mom are always in our hearts." Chen Zihao did not forget to tell the truth while eating a mouthful of candied haws. He also began to suspect that their mother was not made of stone. Otherwise, everyone would not say so. Daddy is a big liar, bullying children. The old woman was stunned for a moment, and then she was filled with anger. How dare the little thing play tricks on her? But she still smiled and said, "You are such a good kid. Then let me escort you to see your parents to avoid any accidents. I, an old woman, cannot bear to see such things." Chen Ziyuan no longer found the candied haws tasty. When I thought about it, it always sounded like a routine. Daddy once said, "Don't trust strangers easily." "Grandma, don't you have grandchildren yourself? Why don't you go take care of them? Why do you still have time to help us here?" "Yes, mother-in-law, if something happens to you, nothing will happen to us." Chen Zihao explained again honestly, telling the truth. The old woman's face turned serious. "These two little devils are so hard to fool. Looks like I've met my match. I, Grandma, don't have any grandchildren, but I love children. So when I saw you were in danger, I couldn't help but want to protect you." As she spoke, she began to cry. If she wasn't afraid of causing a commotion, she would have knocked the two kids out directly. But now that there are so many people around, it's obviously not possible. Chen Ziyuan was shocked. It seemed that they had met their match. "So that's how it is. Thank you, Grandma, for your help." The old woman breathed a sigh of relief. She finally managed to fool them. "Just wait, I'll sell you out right away. Now we have to find a quiet place to do it. Otherwise, it will easily alert the people in the city lord's mansion." "Where is your home, then?" "Mother-in-law, let us take you there." Chen Ziyuan smiled harmlessly. The old woman nodded quickly and said, "Okay, okay." Chen Zihao also realized something and looked at the candy figurine stall not far away with a look of surprise. "Grandma, if you like us, why don't you buy us some candy figurines?" The old woman twitched her lips and said, "Okay, I'll buy it for you." A face full of smiles, a forced smile. After a while, Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao took the candy man and started eating. "Grandma, this candy man is so sweet." The old woman smiled and said, "As long as you like it, let's go. I will escort you back. I have other things to do." "Oh." Then they headed in one direction. But as they walked, the old woman discovered something was wrong. "Isn't this the direction to the city lord's mansion?" "What a coincidence." This is not a good thing. I have to find an opportunity to do it. Otherwise, this job will be in vain and I will lose 2 sugar figures. At the same time, she received a message from someone else. Old lady, it's bad news. The guards from the city lord's mansion are coming towards us. What? How could we be discovered? The old woman thought to herself that something was wrong. The city lord's mansion maintains order, and of course does not allow the trafficking of children. Immediately sent a voice message. Don't panic, it's just a coincidence. Of course, Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao also noticed that there were other people acting suspiciously around. Doesn't look like a good person. Puzzled, mother-in-law, what's wrong with you? Why do you look a little unhappy? The old woman's expression became serious again. Really? I'm just old and feeling a little unwell. Let's go. Swish, swish, swish. A group of city lord's guards rushed over in a hurry, with a clear target. Old woman, let go of those 2 children. They were actually also confused, but it was the city lord who suddenly asked them to do this. It was also a coincidence that the old woman came here with her 2 children, so they naturally bumped into each other. Oh no, we've been discovered. The old woman was not a fool. She knew she had been exposed as soon as she saw the situation. When did it happen? But there was no time to think about it, so he had to do it once and for all. He wanted to help Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao escape this disaster first. They were definitely no match for the people from the city lord's mansion in a head-on confrontation. Then she casually picked them up, only to discover that she, a cultivator at the foundation establishment stage, couldn't even lift 2 children. The guards of the city lord's mansion saw this and their faces changed drastically. Looking for death. Hurry and save those 2 kids. This is what the city lord ordered. Rushed over immediately. But right in front of them, the little boy grabbed the old woman's wrist with his small hand and threw her over his shoulder in a simple and rough manner. The old woman in the foundation establishment realm rolled in the air and fell heavily to the ground. Can you believe it? They seemed to be late. Stunned, the old woman was knocked unconscious by the fall and looked at Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao in disbelief. She had been fooled. These 2 children were actually more advanced than her. Otherwise, there was no way to explain this situation. It's almost vomiting blood. Could it be the Tongshuan realm? Chen Zihao stood with his hands on his hips, a candy figurine still in his mouth, looking smug. Dad told them to be steady, but they had to strike when it was time. This was the other party trying to provoke them. Chen Ziyuan curled her lips. Old woman, you are a human trafficker, right? You want to kidnap us. How despicable. I thought I could lead you to the city lord's mansion, but I didn't expect the army of the city lord's mansion to be here. She couldn't be sure before, but now the situation clearly explains everything. I just don't know how the people in the city lord's mansion knew about this. She understood. It must be because they had sent the guard back to the city lord's mansion with good intentions. After the city lord's mansion's guards reacted, they immediately shouted, "There are accomplices nearby, go chase them." The old woman didn't dare to stay and wanted to escape. But it was really bad luck for her ancestors to fall into her prey. But who knew that the 2 little ghosts were actually more powerful than her? She had missed the best opportunity. At this moment, there was a loud rumble in the sky and thunder roared. In an instant, several sword energies descended from the sky. Boom! The old woman was completely unable to resist and was chopped into ashes, with no way for her to escape. Even the hidden traffickers were instantly wiped out, unable to escape the lock. It can be said to be a precise hit, and the power control is also extremely reasonable. The guards were stunned again. It seems they are late again. When I came to my senses and looked, there was no trace of Chen Ziyuan or Chen Zihao. Wouldn't he be killed by the way? In front of the tailor shop, when the shopkeeper sensed the sword energy, his whole body shuddered. Take a sip of medicine first to calm your nerves. But what is the origin of those 2 children? And how could they be secretly protected by such a powerful person? However, he could naturally notice that those sneaky guys had targeted the 2 children. Don't even think about destroying the city governed by this city lord. But doing so would make it seem like the city lord's mansion was meddling in other people's affairs. On the side of the street, Chang Zheng's sword emperor didn't take it to heart. He just murmured, "You are still young, not fit to be stained with blood, so I will do it for you." Fairyland. Somewhere, Chen Zhenai, who was traveling, slapped his forehead. It's true that once my wife gets pregnant, I become stupid for 3 years. The immortal Emperor Eternal Night is causing trouble. What does it have to do with Chen Zhenai looking for a wife? Madam didn't know that it was the immortal Emperor of Eternal Night who was looking for her. So how could she have made any move and brought trouble? After realizing what was happening, Chen Junai secretly cursed himself for being so stupid. Then he released his perception, covering the immortal world, searching for his wife. Chapter 9. It must be the aftereffect of raising a child for 3 years. After Chen Junai figured this out, he felt in a good mood. As long as he can sense where his wife is staying with the identity of the eternal night immortal emperor, he will have achieved his goal. Then you can go look for him as the child's father. Even if Madame can sense the immortal emperor level perception, she will not know that the eternal night immortal emperor is his, which means that she will not reveal any flaws and cause trouble. In this way, the blame can be left to the immortal emperor of eternal night. Is it okay for me to put the blame on myself? Chen Jun, I felt that this must be the sequelae of taking care of the child for 3 years, and it was not his problem. The next moment, the perception from the peak immortal emperor enveloped them, and it's expanding rapidly. In an instant, the entire southern sky fairyland was in his sight. Of course, Chen Junai was very familiar with the aura of his wife. I think the lady is not as powerful as he is now, so even if the lady uses some secret technique to hide her breath, she will not be able to escape his observation. Just a hint of leakage would allow him to lock onto Zia Jiao. No, Chen Junai was in the sky, and soon discovered that there was no trace of his wife in the southern sky immortal realm. Then he increased his perception and spread it to other fairy realms. The immortal's power is so great that all things tremble. At the same time, the faces of the major giants in the southern sky immortal realm all froze slightly after they noticed that a powerful person was releasing his perception in an arrogant manner. Who is so arrogant? Releasing his senses like this is tantamount to invading their territory, exposing them. What if the enemy has already locked them down and there is nowhere to hide? How should they deal with it? It's extremely unpleasant after all. I immediately wanted to find the source, but they still overestimated their own strength. The protective formations of their major forces were all making buzzing sounds, as if the formation spirits were trembling. Not good, even the immortal formation can't block this perception. Everyone's eyes were filled with horror, because this meant that their protective formations were just for show. The inner workings of their factions will be seen through, exposed. This kind of domineering behavior is simply too much. Such power must be the work of the immortal emperor. If we can't afford to offend, can't we just hide away? Look, what is that? After a cry of surprise, the horizon became visible to the naked eye, and the dark eternal night began to fall. Endless stars are rotating, twinkling with tiny lights forming a Milky Way. It's him. How is that possible? That man is back, the immortal emperor of eternal night. Is this really possible? But how can such a scene be explained clearly? The release of this intensity has created a substantial eternal night. What on earth does he want to do? The major giants were extremely anxious. King Xuandao's sect. At this moment, he was also in a state of agitation. The elders showed up immediately. No matter who it is, don't even think about seeing through my King Xuandao sect. After all, he is the leader of the southern sky fairyland. Such behavior is tantamount to a provocation and insult. Formation. If we can't stop this, we'd rather lose face. However, in just the next second, the formation was penetrated like a rotten wood. As the eternal night fell, everyone was stunned. It's him, the immortal emperor of eternal night. How is that possible? Didn't his cultivation level dissipate? Now he has returned to the peak. Wouldn't that be a bit too perverted? Many elders gasped with serious expressions. The situation is even more out of control than they expected. They knew that Chen Junai had returned, but they had never expected that Chen Junai had reached this point. This seems to be much more powerful than he was before, right? Mo Qingru didn't mention it to them, and to disregard other powerful immortal emperors like this is nothing short of crazy. But what exactly does he want to do? It's my junior brother. On a mountain peak, Mo Qingru was stunned for a moment after discovering this scene. Then his heart began to tremble. Junior brother seems to be even more powerful than before. Incredible. She thought her junior brother had only recovered his foundation, but she didn't expect it to be even more terrifying. She also knew that her junior brother might be searching for Madame Zia Jiao at all costs. Then what was the meaning of asking her to look for Zia Jiao before? Let her work for nothing. I understand. My junior brother must be looking for an excuse to come and see his senior sister. It can't be that my junior brother has lost his mind after getting married, right? After many years, the eternal night comes again. Mo Qingru smiled slightly. Then he felt mixed emotions. It was a pity that the peak no longer belonged to Qingshuan Taoist sect. Similar scenes also occurred in other fairylands, but the eternal night continues to spread, with no intention of stopping. It made the originally simple perception become extremely terrifying. The Jishiandao immortal realm, the imperial palace of Jidao. How outrageous! The Wang Emperor Palace was so despicable before, yet they still have the nerve to discuss marriage. The mood of Leng Jushuang, the palace master of the imperial palace, changed. It seems they still have evil intentions towards you. Xia Jiao is the genius that their Jidao imperial palace has cultivated with all their strength, and a young generation of immortal emperor hidden in secret. However, many years ago, Xia Jiao emerged from seclusion, and on her way to meet the eternal night immortal Emperor Fengkai, she met the son of the emperor of the Wilderness Palace, and was thus secretly set up. Everything happened. As a result, the relationship between the two major forces is now extremely unharmonious. But just a few days ago, the desolate Emperor Palace sent someone to threaten to turn hostility into friendship and resolve this misunderstanding and prejudice. Could they, the desolate Emperor Palace, take a step back and make a sacrifice and be willing to form a marriage? How shameless! He doesn't even dare to admit his shameful deeds, yet he still has the nerve to act so arrogantly. The abacus is making a lot of noise. Xia Jiao didn't tie her hair up, but just let her long black hair down, looking simple. His face was also cold at this moment. Palace Master, just tell them to get lost. She was only at the first level of the immortal Emperor realm and could not influence anything. Even with the strength of the Jidao Imperial Palace, they had no good way to deal with the shamelessness of the desolate Emperor Palace. This Palace Master has already told them to get out, Leng Jushuang shouted angrily. Although this was a good way to resolve the feud between the two factions, they wouldn't sacrifice Xia Jiao, whom they had worked so hard to cultivate. Doing so would seem like the Jidao Imperial Palace was fabricating something out of nothing and making a scene, which would be a complete joke. But Xia Jiao was sacrificed to a mortal boy, which is also a cause for vomiting blood. And she also knew that the reason why the Huangdi Palace did this was because they coveted Xia Jiao's exquisite immortal body, just to make the emperor's son, Bai Yuan, even more powerful. Then Leng Jushuang looked at Xia Jiao and said, "Jiao, are you really not going to take Yuaner and Heiar over? We're not completely powerless against the desolate Emperor Palace. If Yuaner and Heiar don't come and follow their father, their lives will probably be ruined. A high starting point is always a good thing." As the palace master of Jidao Imperial Palace, she naturally knew that Xia Jiao had given birth to a son and a daughter. But Xia Jiao had no choice but to marry a mortal to save her life, so she couldn't be blamed. We can only blame the Huangdi Palace for its despicable and shameless means. Xia Jiao shook her head. Palace Master, there's no need to mention this matter again. As long as the desolate Emperor Palace survives, I won't have such thoughts. She knew very well what the Palace Master was thinking. When nothing could be done to stop her, the Palace Master only cared about the bloodline she left behind and wanted to cultivate it. How could she look down on her husband? As a mother and wife, she had to consider her husband's feelings and her family. So this is not the best choice. Besides, because of the matter of the Huangdi Palace, friction may occur between the two major forces at any time. If the Huangdi Palace knows about her husband and children, they will definitely be affected. Only when all causes and effects are over can she return home peacefully, and maybe it will take a long time. Leng Jushuang was of course also aware of Xia Jiao's thoughts. Once exposed, her husband and children would be in trouble. But Xia Jiao's loss of virginity was one thing, and there was no way to stop it. Now her children haven't come to the Jidao Imperial Palace to be trained. It hurts so much. This made her even more unhappy with Xia Jiao's husband. That kid is so lucky. Isn't Xia Jiao doing this for him? And all the hard work of the Jidao Imperial Palace was taken advantage of by him. How could anyone be so calm? All right, this palace master respects your choice. Let Xia Jiao do as she pleases. However, she still felt that she had to send some people to talk to Xia Jiao more, so that Xia Jiao would be moved to bring Yuaner and Heiar to the Jidao Imperial Palace. At the same time, the two of them felt a force enveloping them, and their pretty faces changed slightly. Chapter 10, The Mother of the Child is Here. The couple finally meet again. Who is so bold as to not take my Jidao Imperial Palace seriously? Leng Jushuang's anger was added fuel to the fire. A cold light suddenly appeared and immediately disappeared into the palace. Seeing this, Xia Jiao followed closely behind. This person was really unlucky. The palace master was angry, so how could she be in a good mood? Dare to provoke our Jidao Imperial Palace. After appearing outside the temple, Leng Jiushuang calmed down a lot on the spot and gritted his teeth unwillingly. It's him, Eternal Night. Even the leader of the Qingshuan Dao sect wouldn't be a match for Leng Jiushuang, but the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor. Take a deep breath. Zia Jiao was stunned. As she watched the Eternal Night descend, she had some guesses in her mind. Palace Master, could this be? It's the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor, Leng Jiushuang said. Zia Jiao thought to herself that this was indeed the case. Although she had never seen the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor, she had heard of him. But Palace Master, wasn't Emperor Yangai's cultivation power dissipated, and he was expelled from the Qingshuan Dao sect? Leng Jiushuang said calmly, I don't know, I'm afraid there are some variables. Apart from him, no one else can do this trick. Then what is his intention in doing this? Is he seeking revenge? Zia Jiao certainly knew that this was the Immortal Emperor's method of perception. However, sensing such a wide range, not to mention the enormous cost, would definitely offend many powerful individuals. Furthermore, it could be detected that the Immortal Emperor of Eternal Night must be using this method at all costs. Otherwise, such a celestial phenomenon would not have occurred. It's hard to imagine why he would do this. It's just a bit too rampant. I don't know, Leng Jiushuang said and waved his hand, and the power of the Immortal Emperor descended. Even the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor cannot infringe upon my Jidao Imperial Palace. This is a matter of separate matters. Whether the Immortal Emperor of Eternal Night seeks revenge or not is none of our business. Zia Jiao's pretty face turned slightly cold, and she immediately helped Leng Jiushuang. Although the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor is worthy of admiration, it is indeed inappropriate to offend my Jidao Imperial Palace. But in the next moment, the protective formation of their Jidao Imperial Palace was penetrated. Although it did not cause any damage, it was extremely insulting. Not good. Leng Jiushuang could sense it, but with her strength, she couldn't block this perception at all. Perception, it's just perception. He was horrified. He has become stronger again. Then she started to shiver with anger and was in a very bad mood. How can this be possible? The Eternal Night Immortal Emperor is so arrogant that he simply doesn't take the other immortal emperors seriously. This undoubtedly means that their Jidao Imperial Palace has been exposed under the nose of the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor. Who can feel comfortable? Zia Jiao naturally knew this truth. She felt herself getting angry. Found it. After Chen Junai discovered Zia Jiao's whereabouts, he withdrew his perception. Even if it involves some cost, even if it offends others, he will accept it. After all, it is the work of the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor. At the same time, everything began to dissipate. But then his expression became strange. That is the Jidao Imperial Palace. Madam is in the Jidao Imperial Palace. He is truly an immortal emperor. In other words, Senior Sister's casual mention earlier had already revealed his wife's whereabouts. A single hit. Is it such a coincidence? This must be the fate that cannot be stopped. Chen Junai smiled slightly. Anyway, having traces of Madam is a good thing. This proves that Madam's situation will not be that difficult. I don't know the details, but you'll know when you see it. Afterwards, Chen Junai disappeared and headed for the Jidao Imperial Palace. Mom, here I come. Chen Junai ignored the commotion caused by the entire fairy world. Soon they set foot on the land of Jishiandao, Immortal Realm. He was so eager to see his wife that he didn't care about anything else. Thousands of miles away from the Jidao Imperial Palace, he began to release a special aura from his body. This aura was nothing else but the power brought to him by Zia Jiao's immortal body. Exquisite immortal body. It's worthy of being the most perfect immortal body in the legend. By now, Chen Junai also understood Zia Jiao's physique. It was this rare and exquisite immortal body that, by chance, restored his foundation, making it even more perfect and allowing him to quickly return to the peak state. It's simply against the will of heaven. It was also because of their union that the immortal power of the exquisite immortal body remained in his body, nourishing everything he had. Well, it was worth it after 7 days and 7 nights. I believe that with the exquisite immortal body building a bridge for me, Madam will be able to notice it soon. Chen Junai was extremely excited. I wonder if Madam has been doing well these years. Time flows slowly. Finally, at some point, Zia Jiao appeared. Looking at the man who was so familiar to her and accompanied her day and night, she was stunned for a moment. Husband. She came here because she sensed the power of the exquisite fairy body. At first, she suspected that her perception was wrong. How could her husband be in the fairyland? But how could the power of the Linglong immortal body be wrong? I didn't expect that my husband would come. Chen Jun, I looked at the stunningly beautiful figure and was overjoyed. He hadn't felt this excited and thrilled for a long time. Madam, you are here. Hearing this voice, Zia Jiao's eyes turned red and she flew over. Needless to say, my husband must have come here to find her, practice diligently, and then ascend directly to the immortal realm. It's hard to imagine what my husband went through in such a short time, and how much hardship he endured in his practice, and the pain of longing that she had felt over the years poured out because of their encounter at this moment. As her graceful figure swept the fragrant wind, Zia Jiao hung directly on Chen Junai. Chen Junai held her in his arms. He was of course extremely satisfied at this moment and rubbed Zia Jiao's face and long hair. "Ma'am, I'm here to see you." Zia Jiao buried her head in Chen Junai's shoulder and nodded gently. "Husband, then how come you are in the fairyland?" "Madam, of course I came to look for you. Because of you, I became an immortal in a short time and ascended to the immortal realm. Thinking that you could sense my presence, I tried, but I didn't expect you to actually appear." "Then how do you know I'm in the fairyland?" "Because I have searched the entire ancient continent." Upon hearing this, Zia Jiao's eyes became even redder. It must be her exquisite immortal body that makes her husband so perverted. But he searched the entire ancient continent just for her, and he also has to take care of 2 children. It's too hard for her husband. "By the way, my husband, where is Yuaner Hayar?" "Don't worry, ma'am. I have made good arrangements for Yuaner and Hayar. I have raised both children to be very well behaved, so there is nothing serious going on. It's just that I'm not sure about the outcome of this trip, so I can't let them come with you." Chen Junai didn't mention the matter of giving birth to a younger sister for the 2 children. He just needed to execute it with action. "They must be very cute." Zia Jiao's maternal instinct burst out at this moment, and her temperament also changed subtly. This made Chen Junai heartbroken. As a mother, it was really cruel that she could not be reunited with her child. He also knew that his wife had her own difficulties, but now he was here. Of course, Hayar is a little naughty, and Yuaner is very kind. They both miss their mother very much and yearn for Madam to return day and night. Shidu's mother is also a mother. There is nothing wrong with this statement, but he didn't dare to say it. Zia Jia was also heartbroken and felt suffocated, but she had no choice. But at this moment, a discordant voice sounded. "Jiao, wait for me." It was Su Kingsu. Before, she didn't know what Zia Jiao had noticed, and left the Jidao Imperial Palace without saying a word. She was completely confused. Worried about Zia Jiao's safety, she chose to follow. Chen Junai said, "Madam, are you looking for me?" "Husband, please leave." Zia Jiao hurriedly pulled Chen Junai away. "Where are you going?" "Go to my place." Chapter 11, quietly watching the lady continue to be cute. "Madam's residence. Isn't that the Jidao Imperial Palace? Don't think your husband doesn't know." Chen Junai smiled and said nothing more. Anyway, he wasn't a coward. He just felt a little sorry for what happened before and hoped that the palace master of the Imperial Palace wouldn't mind. "I'm so happy that my wife took me home." At this moment, Zia Jia was determined to avoid Su Kingsu, afraid that Su Kingsu would let the gossip slip. Because her husband had cultivated to this point with great difficulty and was able to ascend to the fairyland to meet her, he must be full of passion, confidence, and an extremely inflated state. She didn't want to pour a bucket of cold water on her husband because of herself. After all, the Jidao Imperial Palace was a top-tier power in the immortal realm, a formidable presence that newly ascended cultivators looked up to. And she was also an immortal emperor, holding a lofty position. She was afraid that after her husband knew her identity and strength, he would not be able to accept the gap and the blow to his dignity, and would feel inferior and put too much pressure on himself. If that happened, it would interfere with his spiritual practice and delay his cultivation, and that would be her fault as his wife. Well, that's it. The couple worked together, holding hands and running away. After Su Kingsu appeared here, she looked around in confusion. Jia was clearly here just now. How come it disappeared in the blink of an eye? Is he doing something big behind my back? Her eyes narrowed, and the more she did so, the more she wanted to know. Zia Jiao's inexplicable departure from the Jidao Imperial Palace had already set her gossipy heart ablaze. It can't be extinguished. She was about to be scalded to death, and urgently needed something stimulating to put out the fire. A moment later, "Madam, is this your residence?" Chen Junai looked at the hidden paradise in front of him, a little dazed. I thought to myself, I am young, but don't scare me, this is not the Jidao Imperial Palace. But just now, it was Zia Jiao who pulled him along the way, probably because she thought he couldn't run as fast as her. The child's mother is quite cute. Zia Jiao's face was serious, but she blinked. Husband, this is my residence. Do you have any questions? She didn't know why her husband asked this. It was obviously his first time here, and the final say should be in her hands as his wife. Chen Junai then realized why his wife did this and smiled slightly. What else could he do except let her do it and cooperate with her? Said, nothing, it's beautiful here. There are mountains, lakes, immortal beasts and birds, and magnificent spiritual energy. The most eye-catching thing is the house that is exactly the same as the one we live in the Pure World Valley. Exactly the same. However, ever since Zia Jiao left them, they have been living in the Immortal King Palace, a palace-shaped immortal artifact. The original wedding house became a souvenir for their memories. Zia Jiao didn't think much about it. She put her arms around Chen Junai's waist and leaned her face against his chest. Although it had been 3 years, she was still in the same position as before. Husband, this is the secret place where I was in seclusion before. I live here alone. I lived in that house because I missed you so much every day. She lived here until she broke through to become the immortal emperor. Chen Junai rubbed her long hair and said, Madam, we miss you too. Then they hugged each other quietly, feeling each other's hard-earned embrace and body warmth. Chen Junai deliberately asked, but why did you hide from that woman before? He could probably guess it, but he just wanted to see if his wife could continue to be cute. Zia Jiao said, her name is Su Kingsu and she's my best friend, but she's a little sick. I'm worried she'll affect you. To be honest, she is a bit talkative, which is also a disease. Are you sick? Then you really need to be treated. Zia Jiao didn't notice that Chen Junai was smiling slightly at her head. Next time I see Su Kingsu, I'll ask her in person. But madam, didn't you join a faction? It's not easy to practice without protection. Yes, my husband, Zia Jiao continued. It's just an ordinary force, nothing special to mention. You still have to rely on yourself to cultivate. Ordinary? Chen Junai felt that the Jidao Imperial Palace was indeed ordinary. He would take it as it came, madam. Water flows to the lowest places, and people go to the highest places. Strong protection will always be more helpful. I know, but my husband, my cultivation level is similar to yours, and I don't have any higher aspirations for the time being, Zia Jiao said. Her husband had just ascended to the true immortal realm. Therefore, she had previously suppressed her own cultivation to the true immortal level, so it was really about the same. Almost, Chen Junai thought about how his wife was also an immortal emperor. Then it was almost the same. That's fine. Then came a princess hug. The four of them looked into each other's eyes. Zia Jiao thought of something and blushed for a moment. Husband. Chen Junai smiled and said, Madam, since our cultivation levels are almost the same, you should tell me what you meant by the words, Junwu Nian. He was originally very sad, but now these words have become his laughing point. That's right, after you've reached a certain level of cultivation, it's time to interrogate your wife. Zia Jiao was stunned, so that was all. Husband, I'm afraid of getting you into trouble. She was indeed in great pain at the time, but now she was being interrogated by her husband, which was very funny. She didn't expect that she would be caught so quickly. Madam, do you think your husband is too weak? No, Zia Jiao refused to admit it. I'm simply afraid of getting you into trouble. Otherwise, I'll suffer for the rest of my life. Chen Junai said gently, Madam, I know you have your own difficulties, and I understand. That's why I have never given up on becoming stronger or searching for your shadow over the years. Now that our cultivation levels are almost the same, shouldn't you tell me what's bothering you? Putting aside other things, the time when my wife was poisoned by the aphrodisiac was a cause and effect that needed to be eliminated. Zia Jiao began to feel conflicted, not knowing whether she should jump into the hole she had dug for herself. My dear husband, I do have a karma that is difficult to handle, and it poses a huge threat. Even if the two of us were to combine our strength, we might not be able to handle it. Is it really that powerful? Chen Junai found it hard to imagine that there really was such an awesome existence in the fairy world. Of course, he was pretending to tease his wife. Otherwise, it would be inappropriate to spoil the mood and talk about unhappy things when they just met. Zia Jiao's pretty face was a little solemn, and she nodded seriously. So, we still need to continue practicing. If the time comes, I'll definitely ask you to help me. That's good. Chen Junai didn't dwell on it. Besides not wanting to spoil the fun, he had actually been causing trouble before. What if his wife and the Jidao Imperial Palace were implicated because of him? This gift would be a bit excessive. However, it shouldn't be difficult for him to find out the lady's little secret. Zia Jiao was relieved to see that her husband did not ask any further questions. Otherwise, she was really afraid that her husband would go and see her off. By the way, my dear husband, you are new to the immortal realm. Do you have any thoughts on joining a force? Yes, I heard that the Jidao Imperial Palace is pretty good. Chen Jun, I said casually. Chapter 12, I really want to kiss the children's mother. I am the treasure that my husband found. Zia Jia was panicked for a moment. Her husband went to the Jidao Imperial Palace. They are husband and wife. If her husband really went to the Jidao Imperial Palace, then she would be a senior sister, a very senior one, and her husband would only be a junior brother, a very junior one. I'm just kidding, Chen Jun, I laughed. Madam, ordinary people can't enter a place like the Jidao Imperial Palace. Besides, I also like freedom. I don't like being bound. Zia Jiao's face suddenly turned dark and she thought to herself, you scared me. Husband, why didn't I realize before that you liked teasing me? Before you were just a fairy, cold and aloof, not even a mother, and I knew you were not ordinary. Now our strengths are similar and you are still a mother, so of course I dare to tease you. Chen Junai's tone was righteous and confident. This left Zia Jiao speechless, and she could only assume that her husband had become arrogant after becoming powerful. The dignified immortal emperor was teased by a true immortal like him. What else could he do except give in? By the way, ma'am, your physique is very special, right? How do you know? If my cultivation speed is not due to my own fault, then it must be related to you. Otherwise, there is no explanation. Zia Jiao did not deny it. Husband, I have a delicate immortal body, and I can indeed help you practice. She also believed that it was her exquisite immortal body that had contributed to this. Otherwise, her husband would be a mere mortal. However, the accident many years ago seemed to have turned her into a heaven-defying opportunity for her husband. Of course, my husband is also very capable. Otherwise, if he were too weak, he wouldn't have become an immortal so quickly. This is already extremely incredible. Exquisite immortal body. It sounds very powerful. Madam, your husband has really found a treasure. Chen Jun, I worked tirelessly to cooperate with his wife's little thoughts. The child's mother looks more and more adorable. I really want to kiss the children's mother. Zia Jiao admitted that she was a babe, but she was already a mother of 2 children, and she was embarrassed to admit it, so she seemed extremely shy. I could only think to myself, my husband really found a treasure. She found that her husband wanted to kiss her lips, so she held his face with both hands and moved her red lips closer. They struggled for a long time before separating. Zia Jiao stared at Chen Jun, who was so close to her, and said, Husband, since you don't want to join a faction, then live here with me. Madam, will this make me look like a gigolo? Zia Jiao blinked. You're almost as strong as me, how can you be called a gigolo? We will experience and practice together. This will definitely be the life of a couple like gods. Her husband appeared in front of her like this, which actually made her extremely surprised, extremely happy, excited, and thrilled. But how could she, a great immortal emperor, lose her mind? This is still not enough. Then it is the safest and most reliable choice for her husband to stay with her. Okay, madam, let's live like a couple of gods. Chen Jun, I could only drink the bowl with tears in his eyes. Then there was another wave of tenderness between the two. Sparks soon flew, and eventually things got out of control. The worries, longings, and emotions accumulated over the years surged at this moment like a surging river, flowing back and forth with their body temperature. After their lips collided again, they couldn't stop anymore. They walked towards the room. Then it's time to put in some effort through practical action. While the parents were being sweet and loving to each other, the 2 little ones in the ancient continent were still very busy. Zio Hao, those sword energies in Anta City were really powerful. It seems that there are also strong people in the city lord's mansion. Chen Ziyuan was chatting with his brother. Chen Zihao's face was filled with smiles. Sister, you're right, but the city lord's mansion seems to be quite good too. They will even send strong men to help us. That's right, but I don't know how they found those hateful human traffickers. Chen Ziyuan clenched his fists. I almost got kidnapped. Chen Zihao thought for a moment and said, perhaps those human traffickers are too stupid. Yeah, that makes sense. Chen Ziyuan agreed with his brother. By the way, Zio Hao, I suspect that we have a human mother. She thought about this for several days before finally figuring it out. Because other children have mothers, and they are the same as other children, so they must have mothers too. And everyone else thinks they have a mother, but they themselves don't know it. That's right, sister. Chen Zihao's face turned serious. I also doubt that we didn't pop out from the cracks of the rocks. Daddy is a big liar. So what should we do? Let's pretend that Daddy has fooled us, and then we can fool Daddy in return. Sister is so smart. Chen Ziyuan chuckled. Our mother will definitely be very beautiful this way, and we will have to make clothes for our father, mother, and sister. How should I make clothes out of the silk and brocade I bought? He then became puzzled. The shopkeeper was selling this to them at a huge discount, so they couldn't waste it. Chen Zihao's face fell. Sister, we haven't learned it before. It seems that we need someone to teach us. Yes, but where can we find someone? As soon as Chen Ziyuan finished speaking, he noticed someone approaching their Jingxi Valley. He exclaimed, Zyro, how someone is coming. Chen Zihao's eyes lit up. Then let's ask them if they can teach us how to make clothes. Okay. After the two little ones reached a consensus, they ran out immediately. A mythical beast called Killin in the Pure World Valley looked up lazily, but didn't pay any attention and continued to doze off. There is no need to worry about the safety of the two human cubs. Outside the Pure World Valley, a group of victims arrived because the nine-tailed fox that this group of people had targeted was snatched away by two children and knocked them out. The more they thought about it, the angrier they became, and they couldn't sleep for several days and nights. HMPH, this bullshit mountain god appearing and the devil child descending can only fool those mortals and low-level cultivators. We don't believe it. Li Shiji's face was extremely unhappy. He is a disciple of Qingshan sect, but even so, he was robbed before. And he had also heard some recent rumors. He had no clue at first, but suddenly he had a guess. Although he wasn't sure if it was related to the two children before, those two children had appeared many times. That is worth speculating. Otherwise, there wouldn't be such rumors. So they came here specifically to regain their Qingshan sect's territory. Of course, the other disciples were also victims, and had met Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao. Big brother, those two children have appeared many times in the Luangu Mountains. They will definitely appear again. That's right, senior brother. No matter what, the nine-tailed fox that our Qingshan sect captured first cannot be snatched away like this. If it's really related to those two kids, they're way too naughty. We need to see their parents. Give them a good lecture. The disciples were also extremely unhappy. They were knocked unconscious for no apparent reason, and their credit was taken away. Who could be happy about this? If this matter is not handled properly, they will be depressed for half their lives. Li Shiji felt a little depressed. He was not as strong as him, so whatever he said was just nonsense. He naturally knew this principle. If the child's parents were very powerful, he would be asking for trouble. But when you think about how powerful their Qingshan sect is, and how they have a powerful spirit-transforming master in charge, you don't think it's a big problem. His eyes were fixed. Okay, let's look around. At this time, a childish voice sounded. Huh, it's you again. Can you make clothes? Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao flew over on swords. Of course, there is no need to be too stable on their territory. And they had obviously seen this group of Qingshan sect disciples before, because they had encountered them when they were catching beautiful monsters. At that time, this group of cultivators were surrounding and killing a beautiful nine-tailed fox, which was rescued by them. Make clothes. This question confused many Qingshan sect disciples. They are here to get back at the hammer for making clothes. Li Shiji's eyes lit up. You two are still here. It's delivered to your door. It is indeed pure stupidity. Chen Zihao said impatiently, ask you if you can make clothes. Li Shiji didn't care at all. It's normal that his thoughts are not on the same line as the children's, but I don't know why they want to make clothes. Isn't that funny? He's a great cultivator in the divine court realm. He asked, did you steal the nine-tailed fox? Chapter 13, winning against them is not glorious, but losing is a huge loss. Chen Ziyuan said innocently, that wasn't robbery. We saw you were all fainted and couldn't catch the nine-tailed fox, so we just took it away. Why would we need to rob it? Yes, so you can make clothes. Chen Zihao was still thinking about this. The Qingshan sect disciples were a bit upset. Could you please stop bringing this up? It's you. Li Shiji's eyes were slightly hot. It would be easy if he found them. He was just afraid that they would not admit it. To be honest, we are disciples of the Qingshan sect. Tell your parents to come out and meet us. He felt that the child's parents were the kind of hidden cultivators, and there was nothing abnormal about it. But I also have to talk to the parents. Otherwise, if I keep talking nonsense with these two kids, I always feel like I am lowering my IQ. Qingshan sect? The two kids thought it was nothing special. It's the Qingshan sect. Are you scared? Hurry up and call your parents over, Li Shiji said in a serious tone. I believe that these two children have begun to feel scared when they heard the reputation of their Qingshan sect, knowing that they have caused trouble and are in big trouble. But I heard, our father and mother are not here. Can you make clothes? At this point, Li Shiji's mentality collapsed. He snorted coldly. I am a cultivator of the divine court realm. How could I make shitty clothes? A cultivator at the divine court realm can't even make clothes. The Qingshan sect doesn't sound that impressive. Chen Ziyuan's face showed disappointment. Li Shiji was about to vomit blood. It was indeed like talking to a cow without getting along with the person. What does this have to do with anything? I'm so angry. Chen Zihao frowned slightly. Hey, why do you look angry? It's not shameful not to be able to make clothes. We don't care. Boom. Li Shiji's breath began to swell. You have completely pissed me off. His dignity as the eldest senior brother of Qingshan sect told him that this matter was not over. The achievement of catching a nine-tailed fox is extremely important for him to consolidate his status and prestige. Now that it has all gone to waste, how can I be willing to accept it? Seeing this, the other disciples hurried over to pull them away. Don't be angry, big brother. They are just children. Yes, big brother, don't bother with them. If word gets out about you attacking a child, our Qingshan sect will be wiped out. The sect master will definitely expel you from the sect. Big brother, calm down. You absolutely must stay calm. After all, the Qingshan sect is a reputable and upright sect. They wouldn't resort to such unscrupulous means. But these two naughty kids really mess with people's mentality. It makes me vomit blood. They said I can't make clothes, how can I stay calm? Li Shiji shouted, looking like he had completely lost his mind. With a bang, many disciples were directly suppressed. Could it be that senior brother's IQ has really been lowered? Chen Ziyuan's face turned unhappy. You still want to hit us? Looking angry. Yeah, if you can't make clothes, then don't make them. Why bother doing it? Chen Zihao started to roll up his sleeves. Ever since he gave the human trafficker a shoulder throw, he felt particularly inflated. The disciples almost peed themselves. Hey, little ancestors, stop provoking big brother, please. Arguing with you is totally dishonorable if I win, and embarrassing if I lose. No matter how you look at it, it's a huge loss. Oh no, but the next moment, they noticed that the eldest brother grabbed the two children directly, as if he was going to spank them. Damn it. Even if we win, it will be embarrassing for the eldest brother. Li Shiji's mentality exploded. Humph, let me teach you a lesson. The power of the divine court realm erupted. He only needs one finger to hang up these two naughty kids and spank them. Keep them in line. Chen Zihao curled his lips. They still need to teach us how to make clothes. Qingshan sect doesn't sound that impressive. Chen Ziyuan felt that his brother had a very sharp tongue. But they are on the same line. We are left to be educated by our father and mother. You are not qualified, humph. Without saying a word, a small slap came over. After Li Shiji sensed this power, his expression visibly froze. Questioning life, how is it possible? Facing such a little bitch, he actually felt powerless to resist. Can you believe it? Boom. Look, Big Brother is going to spank them. Big Brother is getting spanked. The disciples were stunned and gasped. This isn't a little brat, this is a little devil. The eldest senior brother has reached the divine court realm, yet he was easily knocked away. In other words, the two children may have higher cultivation levels than the eldest brother. Sister, you're so awesome. Chen Zihao was eager to try, but he didn't forget to applaud. Li Shiji flew backwards and was knocked unconscious. His eyes were filled with disbelief. The two little brats actually have higher cultivation than him. Could it be a cultivator in the extraordinary realm? This severely damaged his pride as the eldest brother of the Qingshan sect. With a muffled groan, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Chen Ziyuan had an expression as if he had done something trivial. Still fighting. In Li Shiji's eyes, this was a naked provocation. I don't accept it. It must have been an accident. He didn't even use his full strength. How could he be beaten by two little brats? Sister, let me do it. Chen Zihao became excited. The disciples looked at each other with serious expressions. What a quick reaction. Little friend. No, little ancestor, we won't fight anymore, we admit defeat. No, if a 3-year-old child has such power, how can his background be simple? They can't be messed with. If they were knocked unconscious again and left in the wilderness, they might not be luckier than last time and not be eaten by monsters. Then they would have no place to cry. While speaking, he quickly grabbed Li Shiji. The eldest brother was struggling for his dignity and had lost his mind. He must not be allowed to make another move. Let me go, stop holding me. Li Shiji roared unwillingly, like a pig being pinned to the ground. The disciples were confused by the situation but saw things more clearly from the sidelines. Without saying a word, they surrounded him and said, Quick, the eldest brother has gone astray, quickly hold him down. Boom, 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 it was a meal. Sister, what are they doing? Chen Zihao was puzzled when he saw this scene. Why did they start fighting among themselves? Chen Ziyuan was confused. Maybe there's internal fighting. Too many people means trouble. Dad has mentioned this situation to them before. This is called learning and applying it in practice. After a while, the disciples finally subdued Li Shiji. He apologized, too, little ancestors. Our eldest brother has gone astray, and we apologize to you on his behalf. We also want to thank you for your help, otherwise we would not be able to restrain our eldest brother. As a token of our appreciation, we can make clothes. I silently said to myself, please don't knock us out, please don't knock us out. Just make clothes. It's better than being left in the wilderness to be eaten by monsters. I just hope these two little ancestors can let them go. Heard? The two little eyes lit up. Okay, okay. It turns out they can make clothes. I almost got fooled by them. Then he took out some silk brocade and said, let's get started, teach us. The disciples stared at each other in amazement. We are monks, we are actually asked to do such a thing. I didn't think about this at all when I went out. It's almost vomiting blood. Little ancestor is right. A group of grown men gritted their teeth and took on the work of ordinary women workers. It can be said that he is able to bend and stretch. They started their performance right away, controlling chi and transforming into scissors. Chapter 14. Do the most virtuous things with the most handsome posture. Some disciples used their spiritual power to transform into scissors and began cutting. Some disciples directly took out their long swords and swung them a few times. Some disciples held embroidery needles and threaded them back and forth, their movements flowing like flowing water, their paintings flowing freely. Then, they used the most handsome posture to do the most virtuous things. I had to bite the bullet and make the two little ones happy. Although it is a bit difficult for them, it will not be too difficult to implement. It can even be said to be a waste of talents. When they look back on it in the future, it will surely be a dark chapter in their lifelong cultivation history. It will bring shame to their sect. It's definitely not something that will bring honor to their family. Sigh. When Li Shiji saw this scene, his eyes went dark and he fainted. We are here to get our revenge. Not making clothes. Seeing that they were doing well, Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao's eyes showed some joy. Contented. Then I started to imitate him, control the chi and transform it into a blade. The little face showed an expression of being extremely serious in learning. Immediately following, a terrifying blade-shaped shadow appeared. I'm going to take action on that silk brocade. The disciples were shocked and thought that the little ancestor was going to tear them apart. He quickly stopped her. Little ancestor, it's too big. It will ruin the material of the clothes. Oh, then make it a little smaller. The two little ones were very obedient. They make clothes for their father, mother, and sister, so they cannot make mistakes and must humbly ask for advice. The disciples breathed a sigh of relief. Wow, they could easily transform into this size. These two little masters must be stronger than the eldest brother. Could it be that they were truly transcendent cultivators? I give up. Fortunately, they are smart enough. I wiped off a cold sweat and didn't dare to say a word, not at all, and just focused on being a virtuous young wife. Then in the Luangu Mountains, an extremely harmonious yet weird scene took shape. Not long. Look, so many disciples of the Kingshan sect are actually doing embroidery needlework in the Luangu Mountains. Shocking. A group of monks passing by saw this scene and began to doubt their lives with their eyes wide open. Aren't they here to gain experience? What else could they do in a place like this? Who knows, maybe the Kingshan sect is too poor and wants to make some extra money. Many monks stopped and watched consciously, because this was too unreasonable. Could it be that the Kingshan sect has learned some unorthodox methods? No, they are just cutting the cloth. I understand. This must be some kind of plan of the Kingshan sect. They're using this behavior to show others that they want other sect disciples to let down their guard so they can sneak in. Oh, and even brought two children to cover up. How shameless. Who cares? Just give it a try and you'll know. Hey, Tilda brothers from Kingshan sect. What are you doing to be so virtuous? They started shouting from a distance. Get lost. What did you say? We said get lost. If you don't want to get lost, come here if you dare. I'm not afraid of you. A group of monks were so angry that they jumped up and rushed forward. They want to see what Kingshan sect has up its sleeve. Know yourself and your enemy, and you will win every battle. After all, they are also competitors. However, after running over in a hurry, they found two children staring at them. None of the Kingshan sect disciples dared to say a word. They were just busy with their own things and trying to hold back their laughter. Not long after, control the chi and transform it into scissors. Forced to join, everyone had a sad look on their faces. But the movements of her hands were so virtuous. Woo 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 tilde. It turns out that the disciples of Kingshan sect were kidnapped. Two little brats did it. I almost couldn't catch my breath. Oh my God, whose baby is this? You are so noble, you are so great, you are so filial that you drag us into this kind of thing. Until sunset, many disciples of the sect bid farewell to the two little ancestors with tears in their eyes, feeling heartbroken. It was a dark history, absolutely a dark history. The disciples of Kingshan sect couldn't even cry, and ran away dragging their eldest brother Li Shiji. How should I explain this when I get back? I can't just tell the truth. Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao were very happy, holding some of the samples with excitement on their faces. Proves that human joys and sorrows are not shared. Zio, how we learned it. Yes, sister, when we finish making clothes for daddy, mom, and sister, they will definitely like them. But I heard that we need to measure the right size. Mother has never seen it. Daddy gave birth to my sister, and my sister hasn't been born yet. Where can we measure it? Well, sister, how about we go and measure the size of other people's fathers and mothers? Ah, this isn't good. The two little ones fell into anxiety again, not knowing whether they should do this. Then Chen Zihao flew up and gestured at a height. Daddy is about this long. Chen Ziyuan thought about the feeling of her father holding her and gestured. Daddy is probably about this wide. Then an idea struck him. I got it. Our father is very handsome, so let's find someone handsome to measure him. But sister, no one is more handsome than our father. Indeed, it doesn't matter if it's almost there, right? Okay, then as for mom's size, we can just find someone really pretty to measure her. Our mom is definitely very pretty. The two little ones hit it off immediately and felt that they were extremely outstanding. But where can we find it? It's not easy. Ziohao, let's go back first. Okay, sister. Somewhere in the Luangu Mountains, an old man with a bloody smell appeared. He had a thin face and vicious eyes. Then he sniffed the air deeply, revealing a slightly intoxicated expression. The devil child has arrived. It seems there are adorable children in this ancient chaotic mountain range. He came here specially. Then he licked the corner of his mouth. Those people haven't sacrificed boys and girls to this ancestor for a long time. I don't know what happened. Without another child, this old ancestor's lifespan will soon be over. He is the blood demon ancestor. He practices an evil skill, which is very powerful, but it will consume his lifespan. He can only prolong it by constantly absorbing the vitality of young people. Then the blood demon patriarch snorted coldly. If I wasn't afraid of that person from Anticity, and if the other sects were meddling in my affairs, why would I bother with so much trouble? He rushed over to grab the baby. How could an ordinary village, town, or city stop him? Why would he need to rely on other monks to send it to him? Nor would he need to trade to buy a child. Now, those people haven't reacted much recently, and he is the one who feels uncomfortable. Since I can't easily show up in the outside world, then no one will pay attention to me in the Luangu Mountains. This pair of little dolls can make do with it. Once this old ancestor's evil power is perfected, no one will be able to stop him. Hehe, tilde. The blood demon ancestor smiled strangely and hid himself, starting to search for his target. Compared to the two little ones who are causing trouble, their parents in the fairy world have started to be close to them again. In the small house, they woke up and were still hugging each other. Madam, you're awake. Chen Junai smiled and looked contented, obviously living a comfortable and fulfilling life. Staring at the mother with the child in her arms, she felt so much pity for her. The lady is so beautiful, has an amazing figure, and has such smooth skin. Having a wife is still the best. It's much more interesting than fighting and killing. Zia Jiao and Chen Jun had similar expressions. After all, they had been separated for so long, and it was inevitable that they couldn't help but want to have fun. When longing and emotions are bursting out, I don't care about so many things. Everything is fine now, I am satisfied. She leaned on Chen Junai's chest and smiled faintly. Husband, I'll go prepare a meal for you. Chapter 15. When you forget your child, you should be crushed by a wheel. Chen Junai teased, Madam, do you want to nourish me? No way, Zia Jiao reacted and pouted shyly. Husband, you're teasing me again. I thought to myself, Humph, when I reveal my true identity, I will definitely scare you, but now I will let you puff up for a while. Otherwise, I'm afraid you'll be scared and won't even dare to tease me. But she really wanted to nourish her husband's body. Otherwise, with her husband's current level, he would not need to eat. Seeing his wife's shy look, Chen Junai was satisfied. I won't tease you anymore. Madam, can you cook? Can you eat it? Of course you can eat it. Zia Jiao's beautiful eyes widened in dissatisfaction. Before, I really didn't know how to cook. But for you, Yuaner and Hayar, I am learning very hard so that you can eat food made by my wife, and Yuaner and Hayar can eat food made by their mother. Now, making meals is just a piece of cake for me. Really? Of course I take it seriously. Husband, don't you believe me? Faced with this choice, Chen Jun, I did not hesitate. Madam, I believe you. Then he hugged the delicate body in his arms a little tighter. Madam, I'm sorry for putting you in such a difficult position. Zia Jia wanted to laugh. Isn't it unfair to her, the immortal emperor? This husband keeps teasing her. Husband, I am not wronged. For you, everything is worth it. Of course, Chen Junai knew that his wife didn't understand what he said, so he didn't break the barrier. Ma'am, I'll do it with you then. Okay, then just don't make things worse for me, my husband. Hey, you're actually starting to dislike your husband. No, you said it yourself, my husband. In this way, they changed each other's clothes amid laughter, and then smoothed the corners of their clothes. After taking care of everything, go out and experience life, the flavor of fireworks that belong to the world. As for where the baby went, I've forgotten about him for the time being. Soon, the couple was busy as a group. Of course, Chen Junai was very happy to accompany his wife in such a simple way. For a great immortal emperor like her to do this is indeed a huge sacrifice, especially in terms of her image. Madam, you look so beautiful even in an apron. Of course, I have to learn it properly so that Yuaner and Hayar can see that their mother is very virtuous, and can also experience the daily life of a family of 4, Zia Jiao said, and suddenly reacted. Husband, have you missed me too much? You haven't stopped praising me these days. I said this, but I felt happy in my heart. My husband praised me again, praise me more. Of course, I miss you so much. Chen Jun, I changed the subject. Madam, isn't it the same? You haven't stopped calling me husband these days. Zia Jiao pondered carefully. Her pretty face flushed again. Bad guy. I get teased every time, it's so abominable. But they were an old married couple, and it was normal for them to be apart for a while. While Yuaner and Hayar were away, they should have come more often. Husband just jumped back and forth without worry. Humph. A bad guy is a bad guy, just consider it as a compliment from the madam. Chen Jun, I naturally moved over. The couple cooked porridge, grilled meat, and chatted at the same time. Soon, everything was ready. The best porridge is fragrant. Zia Jiao has added a lot of good things in it. There was also the barbecued meat, which also came from a fairy beast. Chen Jun, I sliced the barbecued meat and arranged it layer by layer on a plate. Zia Jiao said subconsciously, Husband, let me wipe the sweat off your face. However, after picking up the towel, I found that my husband was not sweating. That's right, my husband is not an ordinary person anymore. Just as I finished thinking about it, I noticed that sweat was flowing down my husband's forehead again. His acting was so fake. Madam, please wipe my sweat, I'm so happy. Chen Jun, I said with a smile. Zia Jiao glanced at the sweat from the acting with a reproachful look. The atmosphere was already like this. It would be inappropriate not to do something. He cooperated by raising his hand to wipe Chen Junai's sweat, but still couldn't help laughing. Husband, you really work hard to let me wipe your sweat. Chen Junai said, Of course, madam, how about you come as well? Don't want. Zia Jiao felt that as the immortal emperor, there was no need for him to play like this. Husband, let's eat quickly. She pulled Chen Junai to the dining table. She added many things to this immortal porridge, including various precious herbs which were comparable to immortal pills. As long as her husband ate it, it would not be a problem for him to break through his cultivation. After all, her husband was in the true immortal realm. She seemed to be able to see the joy on her husband's face after his sudden breakthrough in cultivation. Okay, Chen Junai looked at the fairy porridge and was moved. Too bad it doesn't make him stronger. Then I tasted it. Husband, how does it taste? Zia Jiao asked expectantly. Chen Junai smiled and said, Madam, your cooking skills are really getting better and better. Then please eat more, my husband. Madam, you try it too, come on. Ah, Tilda. Chen Junai fed her with the spoon he had used to eat. Zia Jiao felt that she was the immortal emperor and should be more reserved. She was also a little embarrassed to be fed by her husband. But he still took it in his mouth decisively. Then he took another bite with his own spoon and fed it to Chen Junai, fair and just. Husband, please eat more. Of course, Chen Junai took it in his mouth without saying a word. The porridge fed by madam is still more delicious. Zia Jiao blinked her eyes and said, Then I'll keep feeding you. Come on, Tilda. She thought she was quite childish and funny, but now she was no longer the immortal emperor of the Jidao Imperial Palace, but just a wife and mother of 2 children. And this barbecue is also delicious when paired with the porridge. It doesn't matter whether I eat it or not, but I have to fill my husband up, even if I have to coax him to fill him up. It took a long time. Zia Jiao was puzzled. Her husband had eaten a lot, and she had been feeding him. But why was there no sign of his realm loosening? Husband, how do you feel? Chen Junai smiled and said, Madam, I'm done. Although satisfying our hunger isn't very important to us these days, it does allow us to experience the joy of fireworks. As soon as I finished speaking, my heart skipped a beat. Oops. He was only concerned with enjoying being fed by his wife. His cultivation didn't get stronger. He naturally knew that this immortal porridge contained many precious medicinal ingredients. If an ordinary immortal ate so much, he could break through the realm. How about I cooperate with you? Zia Jiao was confused, but she didn't care too much. Maybe her husband still needed to accumulate experience. She smiled and said, Indeed. My husband, when we are free from worries and our family is reunited, we will make delicious food for Yuaner and Hayar every day. Madam, that's for sure. Let's go wash the dishes together. Chen Junai's face lit up when he said this. Madam, I seem to be on the verge of a breakthrough. He wanted to laugh, but he had to hold it in. After all, the lady is so cute, and sometimes she seems like a confused bug. Seeing this, Zia Jiao couldn't help but smile wildly. I thought to myself, that's what I said. This is right. Wasn't it all arranged clearly by me? Husband, congratulations on becoming even stronger. Chapter 16, My Husband. That eternal night immortal emperor is arrogant. Husband, please try to break through the realm as soon as possible. Zia Jiao looked extremely surprised. Okay. After Chen Junai finished speaking, he began to break through the realm in an orderly manner. Soon, some black mud appeared on his body, which was the impurities discharged from his body. Soon everything came to fruition, and I successfully broke through the realm. Zia Jiao quickly said, Congratulations, husband. Madam, is this the effect of the immortal porridge? There are quite a few precious immortal medicines in it, right? That's true, but I didn't expect my husband to be able to break through successfully. Really, I'm that awesome. Of course, husband. When I took these things before, they didn't work as well as you did. Zia Jiao was determined to encourage her husband. Otherwise, I won't be able to set a strong father example for my 2 children. Well, ma'am, I will train my husband myself. Get it right. Ma'am, you are thoughtful. Husband, there's no need for us to talk about this in the future. Okay, I'll take you to a bath to wash away these impurities and strengthen your body and foundation. Madam, would you like to give me a bath? No, I just want to take you to that fairy spring. Zia Jiao was used to being teased, but she still felt shy every time. Fortunately, Yuaner and Hayar are not here. Then he pulled Chen Junai and ran away. Chen Junai looked at her dancing long hair and suppressed a smile. By the way, madam, there seemed to be some movement in the fairy world earlier. When Zia Jiao heard this, she felt a little uncomfortable. My dear, it was the eternal night immortal emperor who was arrogant and released his perception. The celestial phenomenon he caused had a huge impact. Arrogant, Chen Junai could only let his wife say whatever she wanted. Eternal night immortal emperor, what is he doing? I don't know, but it doesn't seem like a good thing. Zia Jiao's face was slightly solemn. If the eternal night immortal emperor returned and sought revenge, then the immortal world might fall into chaos. Anyway, we can't reach such a strong person, so we don't need to care about him. Husband, wait until you finish bathing and I will tell you in detail. Doesn't it seem like a good thing? It's obviously a very good thing. Chen Junai said nothing and then obediently let himself be dragged to take a shower. Although the unrest caused by the eternal night immortal emperor has subsided, many top forces are still unwilling to accept it, especially the immortal emperors from all sides. All of them were well-known figures, and they were determined to find the immortal emperor of eternal night and demand an explanation. Otherwise, they would lose all their face. Now, they have begun to search for the whereabouts of the eternal night immortal emperor. Whether he can be found, that depends on fate. After all, if an immortal emperor wants to hide, it is really difficult to detect his traces. Desolate Paradise, the largest immortal gate, the palace of the desolate emperor. The immortal emperor of eternal night actually appears again. In the palace, the emperor's son Bai Yuan's face was a little surprised. At the same time, there is also some reluctance. As a genius of his generation, the eternal night immortal emperor of Qingshuan Dao sect was extremely famous. He once overshadowed all the younger generation of immortal emperors and even crushed the veteran immortal emperors. They were all arrogant and proud, which was indeed unpleasant. The lord of the desolate emperor palace is a middle-aged man. Dai Jun said in a deep voice, When the immortal Emperor Yang suppressed the demon emperor, his cultivation was completely destroyed, and he was expelled from the Qingshuan Dao sect. I never thought that he would be able to return in such a short time. He is even more powerful. He has no regard for the great immortal emperors. He is truly arrogant. Bai Yuan's expression changed. Palace Master, although I don't know what kind of opportunity the immortal Emperor of Eternal Night has, doing this is provoking all the major immortal sects. It's truly outrageous. Now that all the major immortal sects are tracking down the whereabouts of the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor, I believe he will not be able to easily resolve this trouble. Although I don't know the specific reason why the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor is so ostentatious. I think it is to seek revenge, to shock the immortal world, and to vent his inner dissatisfaction. They can understand it, but being so arrogant is not a wise move. As the son of the Emperor of the Wilderness Palace, he was naturally happy to see this scene. Of course, Daijun also knew this truth. Putting aside the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor, the Jidao Imperial Palace is truly ungrateful. We sent out a powerful person out of good intentions to arrange a marriage, but they were directly driven away by Leng Jiushuang. This is outrageous. This is totally disrespectful. Bai Yuan's expression also turned much colder. Palace Master, I will never give up my exquisite immortal body no matter what. Many years ago, I was severely injured while fighting against the Demon Emperor. My foundation was damaged. Only the exquisite immortal body can repair it to perfection. Otherwise, it will have a huge impact on my future. At the beginning, before he met Zia Jiao, he felt that his spiritual practice was almost coming to an end. He was in a daze, and his days were like years. He had no choice but to accept it. But later, Zia Jiao appeared, and he met her by chance. In addition, the fact that she had the exquisite fairy body rekindled his hope of practicing. He was unwilling to stop here, so he must get Zia Jiao at all costs. It's a shame he was alone at the time, without any powerful figures from the desolate Emperor Palace following him. Otherwise, how could Zia Jiao have escaped? It must have been a done deal. He just let him take her. Later, I found out that Zia Jiao was actually from the Jidao Imperial Palace, which led to the current troubles. This Jidao Imperial Palace is hidden very deeply. Of course, Daijun knew about this. You have the highest degree of compatibility with the desolate Heaven Immortal Emperor's inheritance. The desolate Emperor Palace will certainly not give up on training you. This rare and exquisite immortal body has appeared, and there is no way we can give up on it, even if it belongs to the Jidao Imperial Palace. Not to mention, after obtaining Zia Jiao and possessing the exquisite immortal body, you might even have the talent to reach the absolute immortal realm. When he said this, Daijun's expression became a little hot. Because of this, he didn't get angry when he learned that Bai Yuan had used all means to get Zia Jiao, because it was all worth it. Unfortunately, a small accident happened. The Emperor's son Bai Yuan failed to take down Zia Jiao directly. It turned out that Zia Jiao was the immortal emperor secretly cultivated by the Jidao Imperial Palace. So there were some big troubles, but it wasn't to the point where there was no way to deal with them. Juxian, upon hearing these two words, Bai Yuan clenched his fists, showing his determination to win and never give up. But Zia Jiao is so ungrateful. I'm the son of the Emperor of the Desolate Palace. Am I not worthy of her? My request for marriage alliance was rejected outright. They simply don't give my desolate Emperor Palace any respect at all. Bai Yuan was very unhappy. Although they had a very unpleasant quarrel before because they didn't know each other's identities, it didn't work out. Now even the desolate Emperor Palace had taken the initiative to lower their stance and ask for marriage, yet they were still being driven away. They were completely humiliated. Daijun's eyes flickered. We can't rush this matter. In short, if the Jidao Imperial Palace wants to hold us accountable for what happened back then, we in the desolate Imperial Palace will simply deny it. Without evidence, their words are empty. All we have to do is carry out this plan with the goal of resolving this misunderstanding, until the Jidao Imperial Palace agrees to the marriage. Bai Yuan also understood this truth. The war between two major forces was no joke. Therefore, without evidence, the Jidao Imperial Palace couldn't just attack directly, which would cause both sides to suffer losses. After all, how could they, the Huangdi Palace, be so easy? The best way is marriage. It can also turn hostility into friendship. But after what happened before, Jidao Imperial Palace would probably not be happy to suffer a loss. That would only make them lose face. Bai Yuan had some ideas. But he still asked, Palace Master, how should we deal with it? Daijun laughed heartily. Everyone has weaknesses, even immortals. We just need to try our best to find the weaknesses of Jidao Emperor Palace or Zia Jiao. As long as one of Leng, Ju Shuang, and Zia Jiao gives in under pressure, the marriage can be accomplished. Bai Yuan smiled when he heard this. The palace master had the same idea as him. Then I'll go find their weaknesses. Okay, Dai Jun's eyes flashed. In addition, the Jidao Imperial Palace is not without hostile forces. This palace master will try to win over a few of them and put pressure on the Jidao Imperial Palace. As soon as there is any progress, you will go to the Jidao Imperial Palace in person to discuss the marriage. With you coming forward, the Jidao Imperial Palace will weigh it carefully. Bai Yuan's eyes became more determined. Palace Master is wise. When the time comes, I will definitely go to the Jidao Imperial Palace in person and capture Zia Jiao. At this point, what shame is there to be had? The truth is, achieving your goal and becoming even stronger is the truth. Besides, Zia Jiao is also a beauty with extraordinary charm and elegance. If Zia Jiao is willing to make peace, he, the prince, may also fall in love with her and give her everything. Otherwise, humph. Okay, go and prepare for this. Yes, Palace Master. Chapter 17. It's reasonable for me to peep at my husband. At this time, Chen Junai was bathing. Of course, it is very simple to remove the impurities covering the body. But the lady asked him to use this fairy spring water to strengthen his body and nourish his foundation. Of course, he chose to be obedient. Thinking of this, Chen Junai smiled slightly. Having a wife is great. When the couple met again, they were shameless for a few days. A short separation was better than a new marriage, so it wasn't a big deal. After this, he should also deal with some problems. In addition to the ones on his own body, there are also those on his wife's body. If there are any blind cats and dogs, he will of course pull them out for his wife. But at this moment, Chen Junai suddenly noticed some gazes and looked over with confusion. Somewhere hidden, Zia Jiao stared at Chen Junai, who was bathing in the fairy spring water in the distance, and the corners of her mouth still couldn't help but rise. The kid's dad has a great figure. After washing, she looked even better and became stronger and more powerful, much stronger than a mortal body. She had experienced this deeply in the past few days. As a wife, it is perfectly legal to peek at your husband while he takes a bath. Of course, it was also because they had been separated for many years, and now her husband suddenly appeared again. After a short separation, it seemed like she could never get tired of seeing him, and she felt uncomfortable if she couldn't see him for a second. With the fairy spring water to cleanse my immortal body, it will surely be of great help to my husband, she murmured. But suddenly, she found that her husband was looking at her. I immediately dodged subconsciously. My husband actually found me. Zia Jiao was a little confused. I set up all the barriers and formations here, not to mention the barrier formed by my immortal power. Ordinary people would definitely not be able to detect my presence. And my husband is supposed to be obediently watched by me, so how could he still detect it? This is her territory. The husband should let her arrange everything. It must be just a coincidence. Zia Jiao thought about it and could only explain it this way. Maybe it's just that we are connected as a couple and have sharp intuition. It must be like this. It scared me. After figuring this out, Zia Jiao, who was unwilling to accept it, stopped hiding and jumped out directly, staring at him with wide eyes. Anyway, there is no way her husband can really find her. He even felt that this was not excessive enough, so he flew directly to a place not far above Chen Junai and stared at him. After Chen Junai, who was soaking in the fairy spring, discovered that it was his wife, he silently withdrew his gaze. If he is really a true immortal, then in his eyes Zia Jiao is like a transparent person, non-existent. Hard to detect. Unfortunately, he is not, so he could see his wife standing there, not looking very smart. Suddenly, he realized that Zia Jiao flew directly above his head. That's too much. There was another smile on Chen Junai's lips. What else could he do? Just let his wife continue to be so cute. But I thought to myself, for the sake of fairness, I should check back next time. Madam, I think you won't mind. Not long. After Chen Junai finished bathing, he went to see Zia Jiao. Lady. Zia Jiao just looked as if nothing had happened and looked very confident, so Chen Junai did not try to break the barrier. Husband, how do you feel? Zia Jiao asked with concern, completely unaware of the situation. Chen Junai smiled and said, Madam, this fairy spring water is indeed extraordinary and is of great benefit to me. If I come here a few more times, it will definitely benefit my cultivation greatly. Zia Jiao smiled contentedly. Husband, you can bathe here whenever you want. Okay, Chen Junai was not polite at all. He even wanted to take his wife to play in the water and wash the child's mother clean. Then, madam, tell me about the eternal night immortal emperor. He came to ask if I was okay. Zia Jiao didn't waste any time and pulled Chen Junai to sit next to her. My dear husband, the immortal emperor of eternal night is renowned for his might. Many years ago, he fought against the demon emperor who invaded the immortal realm. He was truly extraordinary and splendid. In the end, he suppressed the demon emperor in Emperor's Fall Mountain. Unfortunately, he was also injured. His cultivation was lost, and he was expelled from the sect. This is too tragic. Chen Junai expressed deep sympathy. Zia Jiao nodded. It's truly tragic. For a long time, the immortal emperor of eternal night disappeared from the immortal realm, his whereabouts unknown. But recently, for some reason, no one knows what happened to him, but he suddenly returned, even recovering his cultivation. And then all that commotion happened. Madam, does this mean that the immortal emperor of eternal night has a purpose for doing this? Of course, husband, it might be the eternal night immortal emperor seeking revenge. However, such an action will eventually offend some great immortal emperors. I'm afraid those strong men will have to stand up for the sake of their face. Zia Jiao said here, her face a little unhappy. When Chen Junai saw this situation, he felt helpless. It's over, my wife might be thinking about him. However, he knew from his perch beside his wife that the person in the Jidao Imperial Palace probably shared the same attitude, which meant that he really needed to step in and resolve the situation. He couldn't implicate his wife. Otherwise, he would feel bad if he brought trouble to his wife and the Jidao Imperial Palace without resolving anything. All I could say was, I see. Zia Jiao continued. That being said, if the Eternal Night Emperor hadn't appeared to suppress the Demon Emperor, the major sects would have suffered even greater losses. Now, it's just a matter of different stances. Her expression was a little regretful, but she had no choice. After all, she represented the Jidao Imperial Palace. Chen Junai suddenly felt that his wife was praising him. At least that's what he thought. He smiled and said, maybe. The positions are indeed different, but they will soon become the same. Anyway, we can't reach them at our current level, so don't worry about it, my husband. Zia Jiao said, blinking. I'm going to go back to the Immortal Gate later. Do you want to go, my husband? With her strength, in order to prevent her husband from feeling inferior and stressed, she can easily create a temporary Immortal Gate and arrange a meal for her husband. Her husband has to be confused and controlled by her. It's interesting to think about it. Chen Junai didn't know what his wife was trying to do to him, and he became even more interested. Of course I want to go, ma'am. This is the kind of relationship that should exist between a husband and wife. They should stay together for each other. Okay, I'll take you back then. After saying that, Zia Jiao leaned in Chen Junai's arms, enjoying the time without being disturbed by the two children. Although she missed Yuaner and Hei too, when she thought about it carefully, she realized that they had never been alone together like this since they had two children. The crisis still lurks, so we should cherish the present moment. Fairyland. It is a place where many immortal races coexist. There are people and there are monsters. Based on humans and monsters, various kinds of immortal races can be born due to various conditions. Among them, the demons are also a kind of immortals. It is just that because someone or a monster had a different experience and fell into the evil way, the figure of the demon appeared. They may even become monsters or ugly and terrifying beings, and then reproduce and have the inheritance of the demon clan. However, if the demon cultivators are powerful, they can also occupy a region. However, they have never been welcomed by other immortals, so they can only keep their distance from them or even hide. Demonic Abyss. This place does not belong to any of the 33 fairy realms, but in terms of area, it is large enough to surpass any fairy realm. This is the lair of the demon clan and also a dark place. It is divided into the boundary with the 33 fairy realms and is also the land of the demon world. The immortal emperor of eternal night has appeared. After hearing this news, many demons were extremely angry. Each of them has a ferocious look and is filled with murderous intent. The immortal emperor of eternal night has returned. Since he was able to suppress the demon emperor of my demon clan, he should be the next ruler of my demon abyss. As this not-so-clever voice was heard, many demons began to become confused. Chapter 18. Seizing the eternal night immortal emperor as the demon race's ruler. You are such a fucking genius. Many angry demons were baring their fangs and looking ferocious, but at this moment they were stunned. Then they all looked for the source of the voice. Let the enemy become the master of their demonic abyss. Which of the demon emperor's generals is so brave? How dare you? The demon emperor was suppressed by the immortal emperor of eternal night, causing our demon clan to decline and become demons with their tails between their legs. This hatred is irreconcilable. How can we allow the immortal emperor of eternal night to become the master of our demon clan? A powerful demon roared. He was once a loyal subordinate of the demon emperor, named Anjin. Although he also had the cultivation level of the immortal emperor, he was far from being a match for the demon emperor. Demon emperor, only the supreme ruler of the demon race can be called so. When the other demons heard this, they were also filled with righteous indignation after they realized what was happening. They roared that they would never reconcile with each other and clamored to seek revenge on the immortal emperor of eternal night. On the other hand, the powerful demon who had just made the suggestion didn't care much. His name is QQE, and he is also one of the powerful immortal emperor-level warriors of the demon clan and a loyal subordinate. QQE didn't get angry, but simply said, "Anjin, the position of demon emperor of our demon clan should be held by the strongest. The fact that the immortal emperor of eternal night was able to defeat and suppress our demon emperor proves that he has such strength. What do you think? Should we support him as the next demon emperor of our demon clan?" QQE, you're talking nonsense? And Jin certainly did not agree with this. The eternal night immortal emperor is a human, and we have a deep blood feud with the demons. How can we allow an enemy to lead our demon abyss? It's a laughing stock. QQE remained calm. He shook his head and sighed, "Foolish, foolish. Although the immortal emperor of eternal night suppressed the demon emperor of my demon clan, his cultivation has been dissipated, and he was even expelled from the sect. This is exactly what the saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Not to mention that the immortal emperor of eternal night has now recovered and returned. This is a golden opportunity to turn our enemies into friends. It can also be considered as defeating the enemy without fighting. If we can have him guard the demon abyss, we will definitely not be afraid of the 33 immortal realms." When these words were spoken, all the demons were stunned. It seemed that what QQE said made sense. But is it appropriate to curry favor with someone in a roundabout way? And Jin said unhappily, "Even if that's the case, it's not right. If the demon emperor knew, he would die with regret. Bah, what's the point of talking about life or death? The demon emperor was suppressed by the immortal emperor of eternal night and sealed in the emperor's falling mountain. It's still unknown whether he is alive or dead." QQE then changed the subject. "But the demon emperor has been suppressed, and I'm afraid he will never be able to recover. The demon abyss cannot be without a master for a day. I believe the demon emperor knows this and will understand our painstaking efforts. But there's nothing to worry about. The demon emperor is not here, so who has the final say? Isn't it us? Such a decision will naturally be made by us." After QQE finished speaking, he glanced at the many powerful demons. Anjin was so angry that he didn't know how to make an excuse for a moment. "But then I heard, the immortal emperor of eternal night is now even more powerful. We should take this opportunity to support him with all our might. Trick him into falling into the path of evil. As long as it succeeds, it will surely bring prosperity to our demon clan. Otherwise, you will be imprisoned. You don't think you can lead the demon clan to greater power with your strength, do you? Then we will support you." Anjin curled his lips. Of course he wanted to do that. Become the next ruler of the demon clan. But he does not have such absolute ruling power. Unless I could break through the realm again, it would be difficult. But how could breaking through the realm be easy? And according to the rules of the demon clan, that whoever defeats the demon emperor can become the next ruler. It seems that what QQE said does make some sense. I can only say unwillingly. Then how should we deal with it? That's easy. QQE's eyes flickered. Use the power of the various demon caves and test him first. If the immortal emperor of eternal night is willing to take action against the power of the demon caves, then this will be difficult to succeed. Otherwise, the chances are greater. As long as there's a chance, there's always a chance that he'll fall into the devil's way or even become even more powerful, becoming the master of the demon clan and guarding our demon abyss. Devil's Cave. Anjin naturally understood this principle. It all depends on whether the eternal night immortal emperor is willing to fight for the major immortal realms. Then his eyes became firm. Okay, just do it. Otherwise, without the demon lord in charge, it would be difficult for them, the demons, to run out and make a comeback. Turning enemies into friends, that seems acceptable. The other demons also became excited and shouted to snatch the eternal night immortal emperor to be the ruler of the demon clan and the supreme demon. A smile appeared on QQE's face, which was already like a ghost. It will take some time. We can start preparing for this matter. The father in the fairyland was targeted, and the two little ones in the ancient continent were also targeted. It was a complete mess. Outside the Pure World Valley, the blood demon ancestor came all the way here, sniffed the air, and showed a comfortable expression. His eyes also became fiery. There seems to be the presence of those children around this valley. It seems that something happened here not long ago. Then he laughed. Who cares? Since he found them, he has achieved his goal. In his eyes, the two children are already his. The blood demon ancestor was like an excited, hungry wolf, ready to catch its prey. I'm going to rush directly into the valley in front of me and kill everyone. But at this moment, Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao ran out of the Pure World Valley. Xiao Hao, where do you think we can find someone who has no father but is handsome and no mother but is beautiful? And it's hard to find a baby from someone else's family either. They were still thinking about this, not for any other reason, but just wanted to measure the size. That's why I came out to try my luck. Chen Zihao pondered for a moment. Sister, aren't these everywhere? Suddenly he spotted the blood demon ancestor standing not far away and pointed at him, saying, "Look, that's him. He's so ugly, not as handsome as Daddy." Even the blood demon ancestor was stunned. Chen Ziyuan also looked over and said, It really is. But Xiao Ohao, that's rude of you. Besides, we're looking for someone who's slightly less handsome than Daddy, not someone as casual as this. Oh, sister, then let's look around. Chen Zihao nodded with a smile. Casual? I am casual. The blood demon ancestor looked down at his own image and then flew into a rage. How outrageous. Are you polite? Then he became extremely hot, revealing greedy and bloodthirsty eyes. The two children were indeed here. I found it. But then I heard, Grandpa, don't block the road, it's a bad habit. Chen Ziyuan reminded seriously. Yes, Grandpa, not to mention that you are so ugly. Ugly, blocking the road like this will scare the children. Chen Zihao agreed seriously. He was trying his best to be polite. Because this old man is too ugly and can easily scare others, he should not appear here, so as not to scare the two siblings. The blood demon ancestor looked down at the two little creatures so close to him, and his mentality collapsed. The road is so wide, why do you have to go here? Can't you just go around me? I was so angry that I jumped up and down. Then I comforted myself. They are just children, there is no need to care about such trivial matters. Then he showed a strange smile, extremely terrifying, and said, Two little kids, it's Grandpa's fault for scaring you. But can you let this old ancestor taste your flavor? Scare you to death? Suddenly he realized something. When did these two kids run in front of him? He didn't even notice it at the first time. Chapter 19, The Collapse of the Blood Demon Ancestor. The blood demon ancestor's heart skipped a beat. Maybe it was because he had just found two children and was too excited that he neglected them for a moment. But before he could react, he found that the two dolls ran away. Looking at him from a distance is like looking at a fool. My heart sank and I was so angry that it exploded. He must have been thinking about being too excited and careless. And he was careless again, not realizing how the two little brats had already slipped away so far. After Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao ran away, they did not forget to turn around and watch. I was scared to death, it was so scary. Chen Ziyuan was still in shock, and his heart was beating fast. This guy was really scary and horrible, and he said such weird things, so her first reaction was to pull her brother and run away to keep some distance. She's already very smart and decisive. Chen Zihao's eyes suddenly lit up. It turned out that his sister was afraid of ugly things. He immediately protected Chen Ziyuan behind him and comforted her. Don't be afraid, sister. There are 18 layers of formations and 18 layers of barriers set up by Dad in the Pure World Valley, as well as 18 layers of various dangerous places. He can't eat us. That's right, they were very smart and ran into the formation. Chen Ziyuan reacted and curled her lips. Xiao Ohao, sister is not afraid. Then he opened his eyes wide and stared at the blood demon ancestor. Bad guy, you actually want to taste us. You must be a man-eating monster. They had long noticed that there was something wrong with the aura of the blood demon ancestor, but they felt that the blood demon ancestor might have just killed too many fish, so they ran to try. As it turned out, he was actually a demon, and they even scared themselves. You bad guy, you can't eat ours. Chen Zihao put his hands on his hips. Dad gave him so much courage. The blood demon ancestor was so angry that his blood boiled upon seeing this. Court death. He stopped pretending and went straight to grab the two little ones. No child targeted by the blood demon ancestor has ever escaped, not to mention being teased by two children. If he could tolerate this, he wouldn't be called the blood demon ancestor. Who cares what tricks he has? After all, they are just 2-3-year-old kids. At the same time, the terrifying aura of the Tianyuan realm erupted, forming a large circle of red fog, which was terrifying and evil. Little kid, you have completely angered this old ancestor. I just want to ask you if you are afraid. The two kids were so stupid. Instead of running away, they stopped and watched him after running a distance. I have to admire their courage. He seemed to be able to see the wonderful feeling of holding a doll in one hand. Seeing this, Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao remained calm and put their hands on their hips. They stared at the blood demon ancestor with a look of idiocy. The next moment, with a loud bang, the blood demon ancestor crashed directly into the protective formation. His face changed drastically, not good. There was actually a formation guarding this place. He hadn't even noticed it. Then it was bounced back directly. I was completely dizzy from the collision. On the other hand, the formation didn't even cause a ripple. Chen Zihao's face lit up with excitement. You bad boy, just say you can't eat ours. My brother is right, bad guy. You are not the one who kills the fish. Chen Ziyuan thought about how he was scared before and became even more upset. Killing fish, what does it matter? The blood demon ancestor was so angry that he vomited blood. Whose naughty kid is this? Then he realized that the two kids might have already sensed the bloody smell on him. No wonder they said he was blocking the way. But they are obviously just 3-year-old children. How did they notice it? Incredible. Little kid, your parents are not here, right? He didn't even notice such a formation, which means that the person who set up the formation is very powerful. Fortunately, it was just a defensive formation. Otherwise, if it was a killing formation, he might have been wiped out. But don't panic. Even in this situation, if the parents of the two children haven't shown up, it means that their parents may not be around. He must have these two children to prolong his life. Otherwise, if he misses this opportunity, he will be retaliated against and he will not have time. There is no other choice. We can only seek wealth and honor through risk. Yes, our parents are not here, Chen Zihao confessed honestly. But I thought to myself, even the bad guys say they have a mother, so they must have one. Fortunately, they are smart and can fool daddy in return. Chen Ziyuan thought so too, curling his lips and saying, Bad guy, although you are ugly and scary, you are quite smart. Upon hearing this, the blood demon ancestor finally breathed a sigh of relief. Their parents were not around. That was great. After this job is done, we must leave as soon as possible and flee far away. We can't stay here for long. He smiled and said, Little kids, I was just teasing you just now. I'm sorry I scared you. Come out quickly. I'll go with you to buy some delicious food and have some fun. No matter how you look at it, the two kids are just 3-year-old brats, not very smart. If he keeps trying to fool them, he still has a chance. Tisk, bad guys, we are not stupid. Human traffickers have fooled us like this before, and now they have all been destroyed by the Anta-City Lord's mansion. Chen Ziyuan, of course, learned a lesson from his mistakes and did not believe it at all. Not to mention that they were the ones who abducted the human traffickers before. Yes, you bad guy, we will never follow you to buy delicious food and have fun. Chen Zihao was extremely determined. The Anta-City Lord's mansion. The blood demon ancestor's face immediately froze, gloomy and bloody. It turned out that it was done by these two naughty kids. What a bunch of idiots. They couldn't even deal with two little kids and revealed their weaknesses, and were finally destroyed by the Anta-City Lord's mansion. I'm almost vomiting blood. Then I will be even more determined to use these two dolls to make it up to him. Then he continued to smile. Little kid, Grandpa is not a human trafficker. Grandpa is sincere. As long as you come out, Grandpa promises to give you anything you want. How about it? Oh, and I will teach you how to practice, fly with a sword, and fight monsters. I will give you all kinds of treasures. How about it? Chen Ziyuan snorted. Bad guys, human traffickers won't admit they are human traffickers. Don't even think about kidnapping us. We won't go out. Sister is right. Besides, we don't like your baby. If you have the guts, come in. After Chen Zihao finished speaking, he realized something and suddenly became angry. He angrily said, You bad boy, it's fine if you want to fool us, but you're taking advantage of our father. If he finds out, he will definitely not let you go. The blood demon ancestor could no longer laugh, and his mentality exploded. Two little brats don't even look down on his baby. But what does it mean to take advantage of their fathers? What's the connection? When I suddenly realized it, I almost died of filial piety. Exhale, inhale, keep your mind steady and don't be distracted. He forced a smile and said, Little kid, I'll call myself the ancestor and not take advantage of your father. Can you please come out? Little brats, come out if you have the guts. After saying this, perhaps feeling that he was not sincere enough, he took out 2 Tao fruits that he had treasured for many years. He continued, "This fruit is extremely precious, the best of the best, and very sweet. Do you want to try it? As long as you come out, I'll give it to you. It will definitely help you strengthen your foundation, making you even stronger in the future and giving you a head start over other children." I silently said in my heart, come out, while your parents are away, let me, the ancestor, trick you out." However, after he finished speaking, he discovered that Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao were holding a huge, red, golden fruit in their arms and chewing it. Chapter 20. Enlightenment of the Holy Fruit, beautiful sister, let us measure your size. The Holy Fruit of Enlightenment. The blood demon ancestor stopped laughing and was stunned, with horror in his heart. It is definitely the Holy Fruit of Enlightenment. They just hold it and chew it. My mentality collapsed again. Looking down at the Tao fruit in his hand, he suddenly felt bland. "Bad guy, we don't think highly of your Tao fruit. Don't try to deceive us." Chen Ziyuan did not forget to respond politely while chewing on the small snack, the Holy Fruit of Enlightenment. "You bad guy, what is Tao fruit? Can it really be eaten? It's so small it can't be a fake fruit." Chen Zihao held his own Holy Fruit of Enlightenment, chewing it while looking at the small fruit in the hands of the blood demon ancestor. "Zio Hao, don't worry about the bad guys. Our fruit is really sweet." "Yes, sister, it's so sweet." The 2 little ones really didn't think about anything and started eating directly. They stood together, neatly holding the Holy Fruit of Enlightenment, their eyes sweet as crescents. Fake fruit, the blood demon ancestor almost split open on the spot. This old ancestor is obviously sincere and has obtained the true Tao fruit. Afterwards, he looked at the Tao fruit in his hand, which was so shabby as a beggar's. He didn't even have the courage to say what he wanted to say. "How outrageous. This is outrageous. I've never seen anything like this before." He had never tasted the enlightenment fruit, but had the good fortune to see it from afar once. Even a saint would be tempted by it. 2 little brats just holding each other and chewing on them, one for each. Is there any justice in the world? He wanted to rob the 2 little kids of their holy fruit of enlightenment, and he didn't mind at all even if it had been eaten. It would be even better if you also packed up the 2 little brats. But can it be simple for a child who can chew on the holy fruit of enlightenment? When the blood demon ancestor thought of this, his heart sank. Perhaps the parents of this child were even more terrifying than he had imagined. This means that no matter how unwilling he is, he has no way to deal with the 2 little brats and can't fool them. Just as I was about to leave, I heard, "Huh, bad guy, why aren't you talking?" Chen Zihao was not used to the blood demon ancestor suddenly stopping fooling them. "Yes, bad guy, you cry and laugh at the same time. It's really strange." Chen Ziyuan didn't understand why the blood demon ancestor's expression changed so quickly. It changes its appearance every moment, just like a face-changing magic trick. The blood demon ancestor is about to vomit blood. "Okay, I beg the 2 little ancestors to stop talking and eat quickly." With a cold snort, he fled away. "Yeah, we chased the bad guys away. The bad guys now know how powerful we are." Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao jumped up to celebrate. He also did not forget to take big bites of the holy fruit of enlightenment. But it's quite pitiful that the bad guy is holding that little Taoist fruit. How about we give him a share? Well, it would be nice to give him a bite, and then ask him to admit his mistake and apologize. The blood demon ancestor, who had not gone far, heard this and rushed back in a hurry. "A gentleman can be killed, but not humiliated. I haven't even left yet. Can you guys be a little more polite when discussing countermeasures?" "Huh, the bad guy is back again. Has he found his conscience?" "Bad guy, do you want to apologize to us?" The 2 little ones looked at the blood demon ancestor seriously. The blood demon ancestor said shamelessly, "Then you must give me a piece of the enlightenment fruit." However, as soon as he finished speaking, a powerful aura approached rapidly. The blood demon ancestor is so shameless that he even schemes against children's things. A cold and ruthless voice was heard, and soon a woman in a graceful Taoist robe came flying over. She was also holding a soul-calming banner in her hand, and it was obvious that this thing allowed her to lock onto the breath of the blood demon ancestor and chase him. When the blood demon ancestor saw this woman, his expression changed slightly. But for the sake of a taste of the holy fruit of enlightenment, he had to endure it. He snorted coldly, "Tiantian Temple is really meddling in other people's business. Wherever I am, you are there. I can't get rid of you. I cursed you in my heart, girl, you know nothing. These 2 kids are obviously full of tricks, and it's hard to outsmart them." The cold and aloof woman had her long hair tied up. She was a disciple of Tiantian Temple, and her name was Li Meyerajan. She had been chasing the blood demon ancestor. After she used the soul calming banner to sense the blood demon ancestor's breath, she came to kill him without saying a word. At this time, Li Maiajin stared coldly at the blood demon ancestor and said in a cold voice, "Blood demon ancestor, you practice evil skills and bring disaster to all directions. Everyone wants to get rid of you. Our Tianian temple is to return a pure land to the world. This day next year will be the anniversary of your death." Li Maiajin's tone was full of disgust and murderous intent. It was obvious that she wanted to get rid of the evil demon, like the blood demon ancestor, as soon as possible. At the same time, take action without saying a word. But I heard a sound. "Sister, you are so beautiful." Chen Ziyuan opened his eyes wide. Isn't this a beautiful monk who came to his door? Chen Zihao also became excited. Sister is so beautiful. They no longer cared about the blood demon ancestor. The holy fruit of enlightenment they were chewing in their arms no longer tasted good. They stared straight at Li Maiajin's extremely proud chest, stunning face, and heavenly figure. Of course, they didn't mean anything else. Hearing the two children's heartfelt praise, Li Maiajin's anger, which had rushed towards her, subsided a lot. She did not forget to comfort them gently. "Don't be afraid, little ones. Sister will definitely take down this demon." Fortunately, she arrived in time and caught them red-handed. Otherwise, the two children would be in great danger. The more this happened, the more she hated the blood demon ancestor. Die in the blink of an eye, he seemed like a different person. The blood demon ancestor was extremely unhappy. It was all because of Li Maiajin's appearance. Otherwise, he might have been able to trick her into giving him a bite of the enlightenment fruit. Now, these two little brats actually praised Li Maiajin's beauty and refused to give her the enlightenment fruit. They changed their hearts so quickly. The anger in his heart also surged. "Humph, you alone want to kill this ancestor." At the same time, the aura of the Tianyuan realm burst out. "This old ancestor's evil power has reached perfection, just in time to test it on you. Li Maiajin is only at the Tianyuan realm, so who is afraid of who?" However, the two children only had their own thoughts and didn't care about their fight at all. Anyway, it looked like a small fight. "Sister, we are not afraid. Sister, you are so beautiful. You will definitely be able to take down this nasty bad thing." After all, they were asking for help, so they supported them without hesitation. Li Maiajin was also overjoyed when she heard this. The two children were so adorable that her natural maternal instinct as a woman was about to explode. She became even more certain that she had to protect the two little guys. "But then I heard, 'So, pretty sister, can you take our measurements?'" The two kids said with anticipation. Measuring the size, Li Maiajin was stunned. "What does it mean?" After she realized what was happening, her pretty face couldn't stop turning red. "Little pervert tilde." I began to comfort myself. Children's words are innocent. Children's words are innocent. There's no need to argue with these two children. "Okay, sister will kill the demon first and draw blood. If you are afraid, just close your eyes." They were so cute that she had no choice but to agree. But she was also worried that the two children would have nightmares at night after seeing such a horrific scene, so she still had to remind them. The two little ones became excited when they heard this and nodded repeatedly. "We'll listen to our pretty sister." Without saying a word, he held the holy fruit of enlightenment and chewed it with his eyes closed. It doesn't matter whether they are afraid or not. The main thing is that they are more obedient. The blood demon ancestor was so angry that he was fuming. It would be fine if they suddenly changed their mind and didn't give him the holy fruit of enlightenment. And it was also okay if they praised Li Maiajin for her beauty, but the two little brats even wanted to measure Li Maiajin's size. "Do you still have eyes for him, the blood demon ancestor?" And even he, a demon, didn't dare to imagine such a beautiful scene. Little brats are little brats. Their brains are strangely abnormal. It's still uncertain who will kill whom. The blood demon ancestor roared angrily and was too lazy to pay attention to the two little brats. While speaking, he started fighting with Li Maiajin. Boom, boom, boom. Then there were several rounds of fighting. The power of the Tianyuan realm expert made it so that no grass could grow around, and the area was almost razed to the ground. Coupled with the aura of the blood demon ancestor, a large area of space was filled with scarlet bloody aura, which looked extremely terrifying. After a while, they are still inseparable, but it is difficult to tell who is better for the time being. Li Maiajin's face condensed slightly. This demon seemed to have made a breakthrough, and she was unable to kill him for a while. The blood demon ancestor also thought so. He couldn't kill Li Maiajin, and it would be a waste of time to continue like this. I suddenly wanted to back off and was too lazy to get involved. He snorted coldly. Tianian Temple, this old ancestor has made note of it. He couldn't fool people into believing that the fruit of enlightenment was his, so he had to give up. Otherwise, if he continued like this, the two little brats' parents would return, which would be even more disadvantageous to him. After making these harsh words, the blood demon ancestor turned into a streak of blood and escaped. Not good, Li Myoajin thought to herself. The two little ones opened their eyes, after finding that there was no movement. The bad guy actually ran away. Pretty sister, let's go chase the bad guys. In order to measure the size of the beautiful sister, they must also help the beautiful sister catch the bad guys. Li Myoajin, Chapter 21, Competing for a Baby, Competing for Other People's Babies. Li Myoajin thought she had misheard. Two children are actually going to chase the blood demon ancestor. Is it reasonable? Is it appropriate? However, she was stunned for a moment, and before she could say anything to stop him, she found two small hands pinching her palms. The next moment, it took off from the spot at an astonishing speed. Original ugly myself, but Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao didn't have time to think too much, and were determined to help the beautiful sister catch the bad guy. He looked very angry, but suddenly I found that they were still holding the holy fruit of enlightenment. After looking at each other, I decided to put it back and eat it later. After letting go of the holy fruit of enlightenment, the two little ones immediately pulled Li Myoajin to chase after her again, without any hesitation. Li Myoajin was speechless. They even gave the blood demon ancestor 40 meters. My heart was in a mess. At the same time, she was extremely shocked. It seemed that these two children had higher cultivation levels than her. She couldn't see through it. How else to explain their speed? But the more this happened, the more shocked she became. What was the origin of these two kids? Moreover, the fruit they were holding and eating just now seemed to be extremely extraordinary, and she could sense that the blood demon ancestor seemed to be plotting against the two children for the sake of that fruit. What are you talking about, the holy fruit of enlightenment? Little friend, the blood demon ancestor is in that direction. He couldn't think any further, and could only rely on the two children to catch the blood demon ancestor first. Her pretty face turned red, and she felt a little embarrassed. Chen Ziyuan raised her little face. Beautiful sister, we know you don't need to tell us. Then she told her brother, Zio Hao, you are a boy, wait, and you have to protect your beautiful sister. I will catch the bad guys. Okay, sister. Chen Zihao was very willing to be a hero and protect the beauty. He smiled and said, don't worry, pretty sister. We are here and we will definitely catch the bad guys. You know what? If Li Miao was really offended, she was just worrying too much. Then she smiled softly from the bottom of her heart. Being with children was so comfortable and warm. Hearing them say they wanted to protect her, she felt a different feeling in her heart. After all, it was she who should protect them. And her own maternal instinct was about to explode. In the next moment, they had caught up with the blood demon ancestor. Seeing the escaping bloodlight, Li Myoajin's face became cold again. Blood demon ancestor, you can't escape. She hadn't expected this to happen. She had to compete with other people's babies. Chen Ziyuan said angrily, bad guy, if the pretty sister wants to catch you, you can't escape. After saying that, she clapped her hands directly. With her beautiful sister around, she was no longer afraid. You bad boy, why don't you just let your beautiful sister beat you to death? Chen Zihao naturally wanted to show off himself. Li Myoajin was held by Chen Zihao and remained silent. He almost called her a violent girl, but she didn't dare to talk about children's affairs. The blood demon ancestor, who had been running away leisurely, turned pale when he heard this. Then my heart became heavy, not good. They actually chased us. This is outrageous, this is too much. Then he realized that the little girl Chen Ziyuan dared to attack him. His dignity as a demon was immediately stimulated. He roared, you're looking for death. You asked for this. Without saying a word, he turned around and fought back. If he was threatened by a 3-year-old brat, then he would be no good as the dreaded blood demon ancestor. But after making a move, he found that he had the illusion that he could not resist at all when facing that ordinary little bitch. He was horrified and his face changed drastically. Unfortunately, it was too late. His speed was still too slow. Boom! The next moment, the blood demon ancestor directly hit the small slap, but a strange thing happened. The small slap directly shattered his strength, leaving him no room for resistance. The blood demon ancestor also flew backwards. His whole body was about to fall apart. He spat out a mouthful of blood, his eyes full of fear. This little girl is so much stronger than him. Could it be that he is in the spiritual transformation realm? His mentality is even more broken. Li Mayajan couldn't do anything to him, and he actually lost to a 3-year-old kid. At the same time, Li Mayajan had taken the opportunity to suppress the blood demon ancestor. My heart was restless for a long time. Is it that simple? Could this child be in the spiritual transformation realm? Unbelievable. Sister, you're so awesome. Chen Zihao clapped wildly. You can't get away, bad guy. Chen Ziyuan put her hands on her hips. Although she didn't like hurting people to the point of vomiting blood, but her father said that some people looked like they were not human, and that was a balance in her heart. Bad guy, let's see if you dare to mess with this beautiful sister. They worked really hard to measure the size. The blood demon ancestor secretly hated himself for not checking the almanac before going out. He, the dignified blood demon ancestor, actually fell into the hands of 2 kids one day. He is unwilling to accept it. But before he could say anything, a sword energy came straight towards him. Boom! The next moment, the blood demon ancestor was shattered into ashes. After Li Mayajan took action, he felt relieved only after confirming again and again that the blood demon ancestor had completely died. But she was also shocked. If the 2 children had not injured the blood demon ancestor, she would not have achieved her goal so easily. Turning around, she smiled and said, "Little sister and little brother, aren't you scared?" Chen Ziyuan raised his head and said, "Beautiful sister, we are scared. But Daddy said that we still have a long way to go and we have to get used to it." "Yes, yes, beautiful sister, please measure your size for us." Chen Zihao was still thinking about their ultimate goal. Li Mayajan was originally quite relieved and curious about who their father was. But when she heard what Chen Zihao said, her face became strange. He rubbed the 2 little ones' heads and said, "Your father is right, but why did you measure your sister's size?" She was a little embarrassed and couldn't bring herself to speak. But then she thought that they were just 2 children, so she didn't care. "Because we want to make clothes for our father, mother, and sister, but we can't see them," Chen Ziyuan said expectantly. Chen Zihao echoed, "Beautiful sister, do you want to help us?" Upon hearing this, Li Mayajan breathed a sigh of relief. It turned out that it was just because of this matter that scared her. "Then I felt touched. What a good kid." "I see, of course I'll help you, but do you have a younger sister?" "That's right. Daddy promised us a little sister, but she hasn't been born yet. It will take 10 months. The 2 little ones talked and laughed. 10 months of pregnancy? This made Li Mayajan quite helpless. Their sister hadn't even been born yet, but they had already started making clothes. They were even more worried than their parents. But then I heard, "By the way, beautiful sister, do you think we have a mother?" The 2 children felt that they had to confirm it again. Li Miao was really confused. Isn't this situation a bit contradictory? Not understanding, why would you say that? Because our father said we popped out from between rocks, but we found that other children all had mothers. So we think we must have a mother too. That's right, Daddy must be fooling us. Popped out from between the rocks. So that's how it is. Of course you have a mother. Li Mayajan didn't know how to explain it. After all, if the father of the 2 children said that, he must have encountered some troubles. But she didn't want to lie to the 2 children. While speaking, she was already half squatting, holding another person's baby, feeling a little distressed. It's indeed pitiful that the 2 kids can't see their parents, but she won't add fuel to the fire by continuing to ask about it. "Great, great, we really have a mother. We didn't pop out from between the rocks." The 2 little ones became determined in their hearts. The beautiful sister is so beautiful, she will definitely not fool them. Li Mayajan smiled and said, "But as for measuring the size, you can't do it this way. It won't be a perfect fit. So what should we do, beautiful sister?" The 2 little ones' faces turned grim, because this was the best solution they could think of. "Tilda, tell me what your names are." "My name is Chen Ziyuan." "My name is Chen Zihao." "Well, Ziyuan and Zihao, first think about your father and I'll give you an estimate." "Okay, okay." Then the 2 little ones were beaming with joy and started gesturing with their hands and feet. It was easy to say Daddy, but as for Mom, let's just say Mom from other families. Seeing this, Li Mayajan's face gradually froze, but she was still watching very seriously. She is not good at taking care of children, and it is not easy for her to understand. Looking down, I decided to measure her size for them. My parents, who are in the fairyland, are still like they are on their honeymoon. At this time, Chen Jun, I put on a cautious look and said worriedly, "Madam, if I come to your immortal sect like this, will the enemy discover our relationship and trace it back to Yuaner, Hayar, and the others?" He came with his wife to see the immortal gate where his wife was. Of course, he couldn't laugh. When Zia Jiao saw this, she wanted to laugh. Husband, don't worry. I have thought about this matter carefully. There will be no problem. I thought to myself, I built the immortal gate temporarily, so you can rest assured, husband. That's good. What else could Chen Junai do? I can only cling to my wife and live off her. Then he looked at the immortal gate not far away. Is this also part of their play? Chapter 22. Backer Immortal Sect, Madam is my backer. Just see. It was an extremely imposing immortal sect, but it was also obvious that it was not the Jidao Imperial Palace. Chen Junai felt that his wife had good intentions. He has a lot of ideas. Husband, that is the Chaosian Immortal Sect. Let's go there quickly. Zia Jiao didn't explain much and pulled Chen Junai away. Although her husband told her that he did not want to join any faction, she felt that he still had to get used to the systems and situations within the various factions. Then she had to create one herself to train her husband. There would be no problem for her husband to be the clan leader. Backer Immortal Sect? Chen Junai almost laughed out loud when he heard this name. Madam must have made it up on the spur of the moment to fool people, and it sounded just like his backer. Interesting, really interesting. Okay, then he followed very cooperatively. Outside the Chaosian Immortal Sect, there are some disciples guarding it, looking quite organized. Zia Jiao and Chen Junai ran in easily. Along the way, some disciples greeted Zia Jiao and called her senior sister. Chen Junai looked at everything his wife had painstakingly built and deliberately asked, Madam, what is the background of the Chaosian Immortal Sect? Yes, husband, our Chaosian Immortal Sect is protected by the Jidao Imperial Palace. Zia Jiao told the truth. Of course, Chen Junai knew that he was definitely under the protection of the Jidao Imperial Palace. Surprised, so powerful. Of course, this place isn't too far from the Jidao Imperial Palace. Zia Jiao then changed the subject. But ordinary people won't come into contact with the powerful people in the Jidao Imperial Palace. Anyway, my husband, just rest assured. I see. Chen Junai nodded in agreement. But madam, with your talent, you are at least a core disciple in Chaosian Xianzong, right? I wouldn't be surprised even if it was a saint. Zia Jiao shook her head regretfully. Husband, I am just an ordinary disciple, not a saint. Okay, husband, I'll take you for a walk. Of course, Chen Junai knew what his wife was thinking, but he didn't expose her. He just watched quietly. Then Zia Jiao dragged him around to experience the life of the immortal sect. This feeling was a little unfamiliar to him for a moment. After a long time, they appeared on the top of a hill and looked out at the entire Chaosian Immortal Sect. Madam, this Chaosian Immortal Sect is indeed magnificent. Chen Junai did not forget to praise his wife's handwriting. However, along the way, he had already marked multiple actors in his mind, such as actor number 1, actor number 2, and passers-by A, B, C, and D. Of course, Zia Jiao followed her husband's instructions. Said, Husband, the immortal sects in the immortal world are all very powerful, and are definitely not comparable to the forces in the lower realms. Not to mention that our Chaosian Immortal Sect is ranked in the middle of the entire Jishiandao Immortal Realm. It's really not bad. Madam, you are accompanying me like this. Don't you have anything to do now? Chen Junai said deliberately. As far as I know, there should be many tasks within the Immortal Sect. Zia Jiao nodded seriously. Of course, but my husband, it doesn't matter if I delay a little for you. Besides, nothing major happened in Chaosian Immortal Sect. Upon hearing this, Chen Junai stretched out his arms and put them around Zia Jiao's shoulders. He held her delicate body in his arms and snuggled up to her quietly. The child's mother is so silly. But Zia Jiao smiled a little. Her husband was so silly. Suddenly, she received a message from Palace Master Leng Jushuang. She said with a side face, Husband, I'm going to meet a high-ranking immortal. She couldn't bring her husband with her when she went to see the Palace Master, even if the Palace Master already knew about her husband's existence. Otherwise, she was afraid that the Palace Master would trick her husband into coming with Yuaner and Hayar. Madam, then you go, I will just walk around. Chen Junai looked like a good husband. Zia Jiao nodded lightly, and after telling Chen Junai not to run around, she left. Of course, Chen Junai could sense that his wife had run towards the Jidao Imperial Palace. It seemed that she was really going to meet a high-ranking figure. He looked into the distance again. Are the major immortal sects still looking for me? Then he disappeared dishonestly in Chaosian Immortal Sect. After leaving Chaosian Immortal Sect, Zia Jiao went to Jidao Imperial Palace. The Palace Master sent her a message, which must mean there is something important to discuss. As for her husband, she was not too worried. After all, she had created the Chaosian Immortal Sect, so the safety factor was extremely high. Not to mention that with her husband's level, he wouldn't have the chance to come into contact with any terrifying existence. Even if he did, even if it was the immortal emperor, she, his wife, could handle it. Soon, Xia Jiao returned to the Jidao Imperial Palace. Met Leng Jiushuang. Palace Master, what happened? Leng Jiushuang didn't ask what Xia Jiao had been doing these days, but directly said, "The desolate Emperor Palace is still harboring evil intentions. They're actually involved with the Fucian Holy Land and are putting pressure on my Jidao Imperial Palace." Her face looked very unhappy. Fucian Holy Land. Upon hearing this, Xia Jiao's face also became a little angry. The Fucian Holy Land is the #1 immortal gate in the Fucian immortal realm. A long time ago, there were some frictions with their Jidao Imperial Palace. Unexpectedly, the Fucian Holy Land would now intervene. Leng Jiushuang nodded. It seems that the desolate Emperor Palace wants to use the existence of Fucian Holy Land to promote the marriage. It's conceivable that if the Jidao Imperial Palace repeatedly refuses them, they might make some moves. By then, I'm afraid there will be some trouble. It's okay to deal with one Huangdi Palace, but adding the Fucian Holy Land would be stressful. If it comes to a big war, the consequences would be unimaginable. Xia Jiao's pretty face was filled with coldness. She also didn't want to see the Jidao Imperial Palace brought to ruin because of her. Then there is only one way. "Palace Master, I will go kill Bai Yuan." Leng Jiushuang knew Xia Jiao's feelings and said, "This is feasible, but killing the Emperor's son is not easy. You will also be in danger." Xia Jiao fell silent. "Now that my husband has come, there's no telling when the palace of the desolate emperor will notice him. It's not impossible. By then, my husband will be in danger, and even Yuaner and Hayar will be implicated. She can't tolerate it." It seemed as if he had made a big decision. "Palace Master, then I will destroy my exquisite immortal body. Without the exquisite immortal body, the desolate Emperor Palace will naturally give up. Since nothing she did was right, she could only protect herself. She just wanted to be with her husband and children, and she could give up everything else. Destroy your own exquisite immortal body." Leng Jiushuang was obviously shocked by Xia Jiao's idea. This is tantamount to destroying one's own future and giving up everything. Is it worth it for them? "It's worth it," Xia Jiao said firmly. "Palace Master, if everything is wrong, if even having a delicate immortal body is a mistake, then I am willing to give up everything and enjoy a simple life." Leng Jiushuang took a deep breath. This Palace Master knows. Although destroying your exquisite immortal body can solve everything and you can still cultivate, the consequences will be enormous. Unless it's absolutely necessary, this isn't the best option. And the best way is always to strike first. Xia Jiao understood Leng Jiushuang's meaning. "Thank you, Palace Master." This undoubtedly meant that even if the Jidao Imperial Palace fell into crisis, the Palace Master would definitely support her. "Palace Master," Su Qingsu came running over at this time. There was still some excitement in his tone. "Jiao, you are here too." Suddenly he found that Xia Jiao had returned, and there was some gossip on his face. Xia Jiao said, "Qingsu, what happened?" "Palace Master Jiao, it's nothing. I just heard that the immortal Emperor of Eternal Night seems to have appeared," Su Qingsu said casually. Chapter 23. We surrounded the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor. "It's him." Leng Jiushuang was a little surprised. "There has been no trace of the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor since the last time. I didn't expect him to show up on his own. The Immortal Emperor of Eternal Night. It seems that he showed up to resolve some issues," Xia Jiao guessed. Leng Jiushuang couldn't deny it. No matter what, since he showed up on his own initiative, then this palace lady should go and meet him. She would not be scared. After all, there was more than one immortal sect. "Jiao, do you want to accompany this Palace Master?" Xia Jiao refused. "Palace Master, I still have some things to deal with, so I won't go." "Okay." Leng Jiushuang didn't waste any words and disappeared into the hall. As the Palace Master of Jidao Imperial Palace, she should have stepped forward to deal with the previous incident. It would not be appropriate for anyone else to do so. After Leng Jiushuang left, Su Qingsu asked in confusion, "Jiao, why aren't you going? This is a great opportunity to join in the fun." "Not interested," Xia Jiao said and was about to leave. She wanted to sort out her collection of treasures and the resources of the Jidao Imperial Palace and send them to her husband. "Then what have you been doing these days?" Su Qingsu hurriedly caught up. Xia Jiao glanced at it and said, "Of course, to do something important. As for you, Qingsu, why don't you go and see the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor?" Important things? What was so wrong that he was hiding from her? Su Qingsu didn't think much about it and blinked. "If you don't go, why should I go? Look, he's not as important as you." I have to keep an eye on Zia Jiao. There must be gossip. Zia Jiao smiled and said, then come with me to take care of it. Take care of it? Take care of what? Jiao, you don't want to leave the Jidao Imperial Palace, do you? No, the Jidao Imperial Palace hasn't reached that point yet, and the desolate Emperor Palace doesn't have that much power. I still want to hug your precious Yuan or Hayar one day. You're overthinking it. Desolate Paradise? Emperor Huang's palace. Palace Master Dai Jun was in a good mood. With the Fuxian Holy Land putting pressure on the Jidao Imperial Palace, I don't believe they can just sit back and do nothing. There had been some conflicts between the Fuxian Holy Land and the Jidao Imperial Palace in the past. And if he, the Palace Master of the Huangdi Palace, just mentioned it casually, the Fuxian Holy Lord would still give him some face. This is a mutually beneficial relationship, so reaching consensus is easy. Bai Yuan's expression was somewhat heated. Fuxian Holy Land is willing to deal with Jidao Imperial Palace. Even if our Huangdi Palace and Jidao Imperial Palace really take action, Fuxian Holy Land will definitely help. Therefore, the Jidao Imperial Palace will have to consider this matter. In the long run, even if they don't agree to the marriage, they will have to agree. Not bad, Daijun nodded. How's your investigation going? Do you have any weaknesses for Zia Jiao? Bai Yuan felt a little unhappy when he thought about it. Palace Master, Zia Jiao is well hidden by the Jidao Imperial Palace. It is indeed difficult to take action at the moment and find her weakness. But since she possesses the exquisite immortal body and possesses extraordinary natural beauty, I think we can start with the immortal clan behind her. Perhaps we can find out how the Jidao Imperial Palace brought Zia Jiao back to be trained, and then we can follow the clues to find out the real reason. As long as there's even a clue, we can exploit it. When he said this, Bai Yuan's face turned greedy. The immortal clan behind her is indeed a good idea. You just need to investigate this matter at all costs. After saying this, Dai Jun looked at Bai Yuan. A reminder, you are in a state of confusion. Remember not to rush for success. Bai Yuan only then realized that his mood was reflected on his face. The matter was of great importance, and he couldn't help but be anxious. The less clues he had, the more upset he became. What the palace master said is true. He took a deep breath and his complexion returned to normal. At the same time, Dai Jun received a message. His expression changed slightly. He appeared. Eternal Night, Immortal Emperor. He is also unhappy when this matter is mentioned. Before, the immortal Emperor of Eternal Night released his perception lawlessly and was simply arrogant. It's him, Bai Yuan clenched his fist. He showed up like this, probably to deal with the major immortal sects. Back then, as a disciple of the desolate Emperor Palace, he was no match for the Demon Emperor and was nearly annihilated. But then, the immortal Emperor of Eternal Night was able to suppress the Demon Emperor. The thought of this made him even more displeased. No matter what, since he shows up like this, we should meet him. After saying this, Dai Jun disappeared in the palace. Bai Yuan gritted his teeth and followed. He wanted to see what realm the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor was at now. Just wait until he takes down Zia Jiao. He will definitely be no worse than the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor. The boundless fairyland. Chen Junai was in the upper position. While my wife is away, I rush out and do something. Solve whatever needs to be solved. At least I won't have to implicate Madam and the Jidao Imperial Palace in the future. At this time, he had already released his own aura, a very eye-catching eternal night. If the major immortal sects were unhappy with what happened before, they would definitely notice it and come to investigate. As for whether the lady was happy with him and whether she would come, he had no idea. I guess they will be here soon, Chen Junai smiled. No matter what troubles he has, for him now, as long as he can find the mother of his child, he will be satisfied. Although the fairyland is boundless and vast, such a distance is not a big problem for the powerful fairy emperors. In addition, no matter how many powerful immortal emperors come, it is not that important to him. After all, the 33 immortal realms were also divided into different levels. There were only 8 top-level immortal realms with immortal emperors in charge, representing the 8 peak immortal sects. And immortal emperors were no more than 3 handfuls in number, with varying levels of cultivation. Not to mention the strong ones in the realm of absolute immortality, not even a peak immortal emperor has one. As for whether there are any hidden antiques, that is unknown. Not long, several terrifying auras came rapidly. They are all great immortal emperors, and ordinary people are not qualified to come here. It is indeed you, Eternal Night Immortal Emperor. Many giants looked at the man standing with his hands behind his back and thought to themselves, We have finally surrounded the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor. But I was also a little surprised. Only when I saw it in person did I confirm that it was really that man who had returned. But what on earth had happened to him? Why did you do that before? At the same time, several more auras approached. Dai Jun and Leng Jushuang were also among them. However, they exchanged an unhappy glance and said nothing more, because their purpose in coming here was not to resolve the grudge between them, but just to seek an explanation and regain some face. Leng Jushuang discovered that Bai Yuan was also there, and she wanted to chop him down with a knife. He was the cause of everything. Bai Yuan seemed to care about nothing. There were no more than a handful of young people who could become immortal emperors, so he naturally had the right to be arrogant. I just felt a little regretful that Zia Jiao didn't show up. Chen Jun, I could sense that the leader of the Qingshuan Dao sect hadn't arrived, but the palace master of the Jidao Imperial Palace had. His wife wasn't here either. That's easy. Emperor Eternal Night, do you want to give us an explanation about what happened before? Emperor Jun said unhappily. Do you think you have no respect for us immortal emperors? No matter what your purpose is, it is not wise to offend our immortal sect. Although you were instrumental in suppressing the demon emperor, that's no reason to trample on us. Many powerful immortal emperors have seen the world, and they all launched an unhappy attack at the same time. But I heard a sound. Roll. Chapter 24. I was scolded twice and then I walked away. Chen Junai's immortal power is mighty and powerful. Naturally, I won't explain much. Although he knew that doing so would cause some trouble, these troubles were nothing compared to finding his wife. He originally didn't bother to pay attention to it, but since it had already happened, of course he wouldn't avoid it. Many immortal emperors were directly repelled by this burst of power. Everyone looked shocked and speechless. The Eternal Night Immortal Emperor had indeed grown stronger. Back then, he was only at the 6th level of the Immortal Emperor, yet he was able to suppress the 8th level of the Immortal Emperor. But the price he paid was equally terrifying. And now, he was able to repel so many of them with his own strength, which was simply unbelievable. You have to know that there were also powerful immortal emperors of the 8th level among them. But he still told them to get out. Wasn't it him who released his aura to lure them here? This is too arrogant. Eternal Night Immortal Emperor, I acknowledge your extraordinary talent, but are you determined to be our enemy? Don't panic, they're outnumbered. Unless the Immortal Emperor of Eternal Night wants to single-handedly take on the entire Immortal Realm's top sects, that's definitely not a wise move. Bai Yuan in the crowd was shocked so much that his face turned pale. The feeling of suffocation and oppression brought to him by the breath just now was real, and he could hardly muster the strength to resist. Faced with a terrifying existence that was far ahead of the younger generation, he certainly was unwilling to accept the feeling of being suppressed. This further confirmed his determination to take down Zia Jiao. It was a must. Become an enemy? Chen Junai stood with his hands behind his back. This emperor does not want to interfere in anything in the immortal world. I have no interest in anything. If you want to make an enemy of me, then I am happy to accompany you. Of course, what he said was true. Upon hearing this, many immortal emperors became clear-minded. It was obvious that the immortal emperor of Eternal Night did not want to give them an explanation, so they had no idea what the immortal emperor of Eternal Night's purpose was before. But he said he wasn't interested in anything. Could it be that he's changed? Their faces became serious. We naturally don't want to be your enemy, but some things can't be explained in a single sentence. If the immortal emperor of Eternal Night doesn't give us an explanation, we will certainly not leave easily. The previous incident was a threat to them. They were wary of the Eternal Night Emperor causing trouble and becoming an enemy, but now the Eternal Night Emperor said he had no interest in anything, which made them even more suspicious. Otherwise, why did he do that before? But just as they finished speaking, they discovered that a terrifying immortal power was descending again. Since you don't want to leave, then all of you stay. Behind Chen Junai, endless eternal night began to condense, and the sky within a radius of billions of miles changed drastically. Of course, he wouldn't explain that it was just to find his wife. This was a family matter, and there was no need to tell outsiders. Seeing this scene, many immortal emperors panicked. Quickly retreat. Is this the 9th level of the immortal emperor? Is it the power of a peak immortal emperor? Everyone looked terrified and trembled in their hearts, because they found that even an 8th level immortal emperor would find it difficult to resist. What exactly has the immortal Emperor Eternal Night experienced over the years? I couldn't think any further for a moment and began to think about giving up, but I couldn't do it even if I was unwilling. Then they snorted in dissatisfaction, expressing their final stubbornness, and left one after another. I thought I could find the eternal night immortal emperor to ask for an explanation, but when I got there I was scolded and told to get out, and I had to leave without even knowing the reason. It was totally unreasonable. And they were also prominent figures. How could they feel so good? Outrageous. It was absolutely outrageous. But they also knew that this was absolutely not something they could actually do. But at this moment, Chen Junai's voice came from behind again. Remember, if one of you offends this emperor, this feud will be irreconcilable. After these words were spoken, many immortal emperors and giants were puzzled. Who had offended him? Could it be an enemy from that incident? It seems that this is the only possibility. Even though the words of the immortal Emperor Eternal Night were very plain, the murderous intent mixed in them was definitely not false. They all thought to themselves, it must not be us. Being targeted by such a strong person is definitely not a good thing. Then he escaped swiftly. Chen Junai watched them leave with a cold look on his face. He really didn't want to be an enemy of the many immortal sects, because Yuaner and Hayar would come to the immortal world one day, and there was no need to let his children bear too much of the cause and effect of their parents. After all, he was well aware of the principle of revenge, and who could truly predict fate. He also knew that the existence that could cause trouble to his wife and the Jidao Imperial Palace must be a top-level immortal sect. Otherwise, the lady wouldn't have left without saying goodbye for 3 years, and the problem still hasn't been resolved until now. This meant that the culprit who should be eliminated was among these people. However, there was a hidden secret that he didn't know and couldn't confirm. Now he can't find it out directly. Otherwise, at this sensitive juncture, the Jidao Imperial Palace will become the target of public criticism, and other immortal sects will stand together. I'm sure the lady wouldn't be happy to see this. Not far, Chen Junai sighed and disappeared. The many immortal emperors who left were very depressed, but they were more determined in their hearts that they must not provoke the eternal night immortal emperor. Daijun thought so too. In just a few years, the immortal emperor of eternal night has become so powerful that my desolate emperor palace cannot afford to provoke him. In the future, I must not have any friction with him. Bai Yuan's face showed an expression of extreme unwillingness, but he had no temper at all. Palace Master, you're not his match. In fact, he could guess it by looking at the performance of many immortal emperors, but he was just unwilling to admit it. Daijun nodded solemnly. I'm afraid he has already reached the 9th level of the immortal emperor realm, or even a higher realm. This palace master is no match for him. The peak immortal emperor. Thinking of this realm, Bai Yuan felt a deep sense of powerlessness in his heart. Once I conquer Zia Jiao, I will definitely have the opportunity to reach this level. Emperor Jun did not deny it. Of course. For now, we just need to avoid the immortal Emperor Yang. Let's deal with the matter of the Jidao Imperial Palace first. Bai Yuan nodded, then thought of something. Then Palace Master, what did the immortal Emperor of Eternal Night mean when he said there were enemies among them? I don't know. Daijun didn't understand either. Maybe he has noticed something. Anyway, it's not from our desolate Emperor Palace, so don't worry about it for now. As the Palace Master, he naturally has a clear conscience. The Palace of the Desolate Emperor has never offended the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor. The Palace Master is right. Bai Yuan didn't think much about it. The Imperial Palace of Jidao. Leng Jiushuang also returned in a very unhappy mood. They were inexplicably filled with anger. But the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor was so powerful now that he could do whatever he wanted, so they had no temper at all, getting humiliated over and over again. This is outrageous. She even met those people from Daijun whom she didn't want to see, which made her feel even worse. Not only did she not achieve her goal, but she felt even worse. Palace Master, you're back. Is it over? Su Kingsu was a little puzzled. This is too fast. Zia Jiao was also there. She had gone to collect resources and treasures for her husband, but she didn't expect the Palace Master to come back so soon, so she had to come and see what was going on. At this moment, she looked a little doubtful. Leng Jiushuang's face did not look good. The Eternal Night Immortal Emperor may have already reached the peak of the Immortal Emperor realm. Even if all the major immortal sects join forces, they will not be able to defeat him at all. Chapter 25. As long as I am here, no disciple can sneak into the Chaosian Immortal Sect. The peak Immortal Emperor. Su Kingsu almost shouted out when she heard this. This is too amazing. Zia Jiao was very surprised, but also had an expression of agreement. If the Immortal Emperor of Eternal Night is at the peak of the Immortal Emperor realm, then in the entire immortal realm. Unless there are immortals, I'm afraid no one can surpass him. It's hard to imagine what he's been through to change like this. You have to know that the Palace Master is only at the 8th level of the Immortal Emperor realm, and the former Immortal Emperor of Eternal Night was said to be only at the 6th level of the Immortal Emperor realm. As a result, in such a short period of time, he has already reached the pinnacle. It is truly shocking. She also felt inferior to him. That's true, it's no wonder it ended so quickly. Su Kingsu said this before she realized her position. He immediately changed his words, but that's not a reason for him to be arrogant. Xia Jiao rolled her eyes at Su Kingsu, truly fearing that she might become disloyal someday. She couldn't hide Su Kingsu's genuine admiration from her, but there's nothing that can be done about it. Putting aside his stance, the immortal Emperor of Eternal Night is indeed worthy of Su Kingsu's admiration. Leng Jiushuang shook his head helplessly. We really don't know what happened to him, but his strength is real. Therefore, the major sects can only let this go and not pursue the matter further. Even the immortal Emperor of Eternal Night told all the other immortal emperors to get lost. It makes me feel depressed just thinking about it, because hers is among the many immortal emperors. Get out! Xia Jiao and Su Kingsu were both stunned for a moment. Even a peak-level immortal emperor was swearing. Was this matter really that serious? This is a blatant slap in the face to the group. Not surprisingly, the Palace Master might have also been scolded. No wonder he was so unhappy. Then Palace Master, why did the immortal Emperor of Eternal Night do that before? I don't know, Leng Jiushuang said silently. The immortal Emperor Yang doesn't want to explain, so there is no way to find out. Xia Jiao and Su Kingsu also understood that the powerful didn't need a reason for their actions. So, not only did the Palace Master make a wasted trip, he also got scolded. I haven't figured anything out yet, let alone regaining the reputation of the Jidao Imperial Palace. Su Kingsu's pretty face wrinkled slightly, and she said angrily, It's inexplicable, it's really too much. It seems that there is some hidden secret, and the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor is extremely powerful, so he can do whatever he wants. Xia Jiao guessed. Leng Jiushuang couldn't deny it. In any case, let's just let this go. The Jidao Imperial Palace can't afford to offend the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor, so we absolutely must not provoke him. Not to mention we have other troubles. But the Immortal Emperor of Eternal Night seems to have changed a bit. Palace Master, has he changed? Su Kingsu asked curiously. He said that he had lost interest in everything in the fairy world. He also said that he had enemies among the immortal sects, sworn enemies. Leng Jiushuang was also a little confused and couldn't figure it out. I wonder what is going on in the mind of the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor at that level. Not interested. I'm afraid that after reaching that level and having the previous experience, he has seen through everything, Su Kingsu guessed. As for sworn enemies, I don't recall any top-tier immortal sects openly experiencing friction with the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor. Xia Jiao was also thinking and gossiping seriously. Perhaps there's some hidden secret we don't know about. And when the Immortal Emperor of Eternal Night said this, it sounds like he's not sure who his enemy is either. Otherwise, he would have been so powerful that it wouldn't be just a reminder without dealing with it directly. Or perhaps he has some other concerns. How can this be? Don't you know who your enemy is? Su Kingsu's beautiful eyes widened. So, is there really such a thing that could make him hesitate? Xia Jiao shook her head slightly. She couldn't imagine it anyway. On the other hand, Leng Jiushuang suddenly felt as if he had been enlightened. Jiao is right, both possibilities are possible. However, his enemy will definitely not be our Jidao Imperial Palace, and we at Jidao Imperial Palace must not be implicated in this. For now, ignore him, and focus on dealing with the desolate Emperor Palace and Fusion Holy Land. Xia Jiao nodded seriously. Su Kingsu couldn't stop herself from talking. So, I actually hope that the enemy of the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor is the desolate Emperor Palace or the Fusion Holy Land. Don't look at me, it's just a beautiful hope in my heart. Then they began to discuss how to take the initiative to resolve the shameless trouble caused by the palace of the desolate emperor. Backer Immortal Sect. After Chen Junai finished dealing with some of his own affairs, he ran back. The major immortal sects acted quickly, otherwise they would have wasted his time. The matter was resolved. At least after his appearance, all the major immortal sects had to consider their own strength. He doesn't need to take it too seriously. Now, Chen Junai was waiting for his wife to come back not far from Chaos and Xianzong. He was truly a good husband. Not long, some passing monks came over. He stared at the huge plaque in confusion. Chaosian Immortal Sect, Never heard of it. There's a new sect here. How come we didn't know about it? When did it happen? Then he turned to Chen Junai, a living being, and asked, Fellow Taoist, do you know anything about the Chaosian Immortal sect? Chen Junai said calmly, Of course I know, it just opened. I thought to myself, my wife made this with great effort to make me happy. Just opened? Are they so casual about establishing a new sect? Chen Junai smiled but said nothing. After all, he was really casual. Fellow Taoist, are you from the Chaosian Immortal sect? I guess so. Chen Junai didn't know how to answer because he should be the Taoist partner of a disciple of Chaosian Xianzong. That's great. Since you're a disciple of Chaosian Xianzong, are you still recruiting disciples? We're worried about where to stay. No, Chen Junai refused. This is part of the play between him and his wife, and just the two of them being normal people is enough. That's such a pity. Your Chaosian Immortal sect has lost several of our geniuses. Several cultivators walked away with regret on their faces. I was a little puzzled. Why wouldn't a newly opened sect recruit disciples? Then what was the point of establishing one? Weird. Chen Junai continued to wait quietly, hoping that his wife would come back and warm the bed. Anyway, as long as he is here, no disciple can get in. Night falls. Zia Jiao finally showed up. Husband Tilda. Madam, looking at the beautiful figure, Chen Junai also smiled slightly. After Zia Jiao got closer, she found that her husband had not done anything wrong and was safe and sound, so she felt relieved. Husband, why are you here? Just taking a walk. Of course, I'm also waiting for you, madam, Chen Junai said. Zia Jiao smiled and said, Husband, I'm sorry to have kept you waiting. Let's go back quickly and stay in the sect today. As he was talking, he pulled Chen Junai away. Madam, is this appropriate? Chen Junai pretended to be polite. Of course it's suitable. Our Chaosian Immortal sect allows disciples' companions to stay here, so don't worry, husband. Zia Jiao thought to herself, Isn't it my turn to decide this? Of course, Chen Junai didn't dare to say anything more about his wife's good intentions. Then your Chaosian Immortal sect is quite humane. That's natural. The couple walked side by side in the moonlight, holding each other's arms towards the top of a mountain. Not long. They sat down on a big rock on the top of the mountain, snuggled together, basked in the moonlight, felt the breeze, and enjoyed the peaceful time that belonged to the two of them. At this moment, Chen Junai's mood was extremely calm and content, as if everything in the past was not worth mentioning. It's funny to say that all cultivators will pursue the path of becoming stronger and stronger, even at all costs and by any means necessary. But now he just feels that. The scenery along the way is more beautiful and makes people linger. And in this unexpected Chaosian Immortal sect, it is of course extremely safe for the couple to fall in love. Looking across the fairy world, no one can disturb them in the slightest. That's what he said. Husband, what are you laughing at? Zia Jiao tilted her head and blinked her big eyes. She placed her slender, snow-white hand on Chen Junai's, interlocking their fingers. Chen Junai lowered his head slightly and met Zia Jiao's gaze. Ma'am, I'm laughing. We should be in love. Chapter 26. He couldn't help but be attracted to the girl who gave him twins. Fall in love. Zia Jiao's pretty face looked strange for a moment. She didn't know how her husband became an immortal. Their children had already started to help with the cooking, so why would he still laugh at such a thing? Anyway, this word was extremely unfamiliar to her. It could be said that she had never heard of it before. She just jumped over and became a mother. Chen Junai said seriously, Of course this is to make up for our past, so I cherish it very much. There's no way around it. Yuaner and Hayar were truly accidents, so I can't blame my parents. So in their case, they're just going to have the baby right away, and then rekindle the love that should have existed before the baby was born. Zia Jiao seemed to be recalling the past, the 7 days and 7 nights of torture. Her face couldn't help but blush with shame, and she wanted to dig a hole and bury herself in it and never come out. But that can't be blamed on her. It was simply out of her control. She whispered, Husband, I also cherish it very, very much. She naturally understood what her husband meant. After all, their relationship was an accident at first, and Yuaner and Hayar were also accidents. Later, they simply fell in love with each other over time. So, as their parents, they really needed to make amends. Seeing his wife being shy, Chen Junai felt satisfied again. He touched Zia Jiao's long hair so that she could bury her head in his chest. I know, madam. Are you willing to let me make amends to you? Although it was an accident, he couldn't help but be attracted to the girl who gave him twins, a boy and a girl. Not to mention that it was his most destitute time, or even the lowest point in his life. Fate brought them together, and a girl who belonged to him appeared, and then changed his fate again. It's so magical. Husband, I do tilde, Zia Jiao blurted out. Even the smallest bit of kindness should be repaid with a spring, not to mention that her husband saved her life. Although she had doubted whether they could make it because of their status, differences, unexpected circumstances, etc., but in the end, it worked. That was the feeling her husband gave her, mysterious and filled with stories. Madam, these are the most beautiful words in the world, but I still want to tease you a little. Chen Junai was very direct. Zia Jiao didn't care. Husband, then tease me. Chen Junai was of course not polite. Madam, you don't seem to be reserved anymore. You are a fairy. Zia Jiao blinked again. My husband, the girl who belongs to you, even if she is a fairy, she will no longer be reserved with you. Not to mention that this girl is already the mother of 2 children. Chen Junai smiled, and it was a very warm smile. Yes, she is the mother of 2 children. Zia Jiao teased in return. Husband, do you want to kiss me? Otherwise, why do you keep looking at my lips? My lady, you are not obedient. You have even learned to tease your husband. Chen Junai pretended to be angry and then kissed her forcefully. Of course, Zia Jiao cooperated very well, and she tilted her head slightly so that their red lips touched each other. Then they struggled for a long time before separating. Chen Junai then said, Madam, aren't you the same? Of course, this is my husband making up for me. Zia Jiao said righteously, staring at her husband's lips, naturally wanting to kiss him. After all, they had never done this during the 7 days and 7 nights when they created Yuaner and Hayar. They were not familiar with each other, let alone kissing. Okay, I will make it up to you every day in the future. Chen Junai touched Zia Jiao's long hair. What else could Zia Jiao do? She would definitely cooperate with her husband in dating. She smiled sweetly. Husband, I will make it up to you too. Good. Then they hugged each other in the moonlight and continued to make love. Chen Junai suddenly thought of something and deliberately said, Madam, you seem a little tired. Did something happen? Husband, you can see this? Zia Jiao was a little surprised, because she was discussing with the palace master and others in the Jidao Imperial Palace about how to deal with the Huangdi Palace. There was no good way at the moment, and it was extremely risky. I didn't want to make my husband worry, but I didn't expect that he had already noticed something. Of course, we are a couple. I noticed you looked a little tired when you came back just now. Oh, my dear, it's nothing. It's just some troublesome things happening in the immortal sect. Zia Jiao didn't know how to tell Chen Junai about the desolate Emperor Palace. There is no way to say it, otherwise the consequences will be unimaginable. Then, madam, our strengths are similar. Do you need my help? It's a big difference. Zia Jiao shook her head. Husband, not yet. When we are together, we just live peacefully and don't talk about the unpleasant things. Okay, madam has the final say. Chen Jun, I really just wanted to live a peaceful life now. I'm afraid that someone will be so foolish as to provoke them. He was also afraid that if his identity was exposed, his wife would no longer be in love with him. He would feel a sudden strangeness and distance that he couldn't accept, and he would have nowhere to cry. In addition, after what happened during the day, the major immortal sects must be unhappy with him. But they dare not say anything nonsense. There is no need to drag the Jidao Imperial Palace into it at this time. It takes some time to settle. It wasn't too far anyway. And perhaps he should also go meet Palace Master Leng Jushuang. By the way, husband, there are some missions in the Tangxian sect recently. Will you accompany me to gain experience? Zia Jiao suddenly said. She felt that she had to continue to cultivate her husband. Well, that was it. Otherwise, if she gave him a lot of precious resources for no reason, she was afraid that his dignity would be hurt, and he would not accept being a gigolo. Facing his wife's request for external assistance, Chen Junai certainly would not refuse. Madam, if your sect does not have any special regulations, I will definitely accompany you. By the way, he actually quite likes this kind of gigolo behavior. Once he is exposed one day, his gigolo days may be over, so he should cherish it. No, don't worry, my husband. That's good, ma'am. Let me rub your shoulders to relieve your fatigue. Where should I rub, husband? Shoulder. That won't do. You have to rub your legs. Well, ma'am, now that you mention it, I quite like leg rubs too. Yes, my husband, come. The couple lived happily together in the immortal gate, where they were the only 2 normal people. When parents are busy with their relationship and not taking care of their children, they don't know that someone is taking care of the children. Ancient continent. Li Maiarzhen felt helpless as she looked at Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao, who were sleeping beside her. When she went out, she never thought that she was actually here to take care of the baby. Think about it, the 2 children also helped her to defeat the blood demon ancestor, saving a lot of time. So what else can she do besides taking care of the children? However, when she thought of the purpose of the two children, she couldn't help but smile. Children's ideas are simple and honest. To make clothes for their parents, that's a lot of trouble. He even had to measure her size. So cute. The two children also wanted to invite her to their home in Jingxi Valley, but she refused. The two kids' parents were not at home, and she felt that she could not go. It was not logical or moral, otherwise there would inevitably be some misunderstandings. So they are sleeping in the wilderness now. The two children really took great pains for their parents and were willing to stay here with her. They would not give up until they achieved their goal and forced themselves to make clothes until they could fall asleep automatically. What a big heart! Li Mayajan really likes this warm feeling where she doesn't have to think about or be on guard against anything. Looking at the two little faces, I suddenly wanted to give them a kiss. Just about to go over, suddenly the two little ones woke up. It's dawn, beautiful sister, you're awake. Hey, what are you doing, pretty sister? Chapter 27, Little Master, please torment us. Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao were still sleepy, but suddenly they became full of energy. Staring at Li Mayajan's lips, he showed a puzzled look for a moment. Li Mayajan was caught red-handed by the two little ones, who stared at her with their big eyes. She was embarrassed for a moment. I am most afraid of the sudden silence in the air. But after all, she is called a beautiful sister. How can she be timid? Without blushing or beating her heart, she said, Ziyuan and Zihao, sister just wants to kiss you. I wonder if you agree or not. This behavior is also very embarrassing, but the two children are very innocent and cute, so there is nothing wrong with her tricking them into kissing them. Anyway, no one else will see her release her maternal instinct. Kiss, the two little ones understood immediately after hearing this. Chen Ziyuan quickly shook her head, looking very regretful. Pretty sister, we shouldn't refuse your kiss, but Daddy kissed us, so you can't kiss him. That's right, otherwise Mother will be angry, Chen Zihao said seriously. He had already felt the seriousness of the matter. Li Mayajan was stunned when she heard this. Is it so rigorous? Then she burst out laughing. It turned out that the two kids were afraid that she would kiss their father indirectly, and then they were afraid of angering their mother. Okay, I'll be fine if sister doesn't kiss you. They were so strict that she, the beautiful elder sister, did not dare to take advantage of their parents' absence to force her way in. After all, she could not beat the two little ones. Chen Ziyuan giggled, but pretty sister, you still have a chance. After Mom kisses us, you can kiss us. That's right. Chen Zihao immediately nodded in agreement. If it weren't for his mother, he wouldn't want to reject his beautiful sister. Li Mayajan was speechless for a moment. It feels like I can kiss their mother indirectly. There's no need to be so strict, right? Okay then. By the way, Ziyuan and Zihao, do you need any help from your sister? Anyway, the sizes have already been determined. Their mother's is based on her body shape, and their father's is estimated by her, so it shouldn't be too different. As for their unborn little sisters, they can just scale them down. Pretty sister, just take the measurements. We'll do the rest ourselves. Beautiful sister, are you leaving? Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao were a little reluctant. After all, the beautiful sister had helped them a lot. Li Mayajan smiled softly and rubbed their heads. Of course, sister, it's time for you to return to Tianyan Temple. That's where your power lies. Tianyan Temple, we will remember it, beautiful sister. We will come to play with you when we have time. Chen Ziyuan smiled, obviously in a good mood. Chen Zihao was not to be outdone. Beautiful sister, we will definitely go to Tianyan Temple when we have time. Li Mayajan couldn't help laughing. This wasn't about playing with her. It was more like forcing her to take care of the baby. Okay, Tianyan Temple will welcome you then. Then Li Mayajan left. Bye-bye. Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao watched her disappear. Zyro Hao, we will be able to make clothes for Daddy and Mommy soon. Yes, sister, and our own. So what should we do after we make the clothes? I don't know, sister. Chen Ziyuan pondered for a moment, then said seriously. Zyro Hao, my beautiful sister also has her own faction. Shouldn't we have one too? Sister, should we join the sect? Chen Zihao was a little skeptical. Perhaps because they were too young, the sect would not accept them. Of course, we must join our own sect. Then we can get the sect's protection and maybe even go with us to find Mother. They thought their mother might be hiding, and they needed to catch her. Okay, but what should we do if the sect doesn't want us? Well, then let's establish our own sect. This way, no one will stop us from joining our own sect, right? Sister is so smart. Chen Ziyuan smiled. Zyro Hao, this is what happens after we finish making the clothes. Let's go back first. Okay, sister, but we have to prepare in advance. Of course, we have to learn some formations, alchemy, and talismans. It will be easier to join the sect then. As they were talking, the two kids ran into the Pure World Valley and started to get busy, running around. Killin didn't dare to speak or ask what his little master was busy with. He was just responsible for watching his little master play. In addition, the other monsters were also standing quietly aside, staring with their eyes wide open. They were captured by two human cubs, so they didn't dare to talk nonsense. Among them is a nine-tailed fox gifted with 9 tails, named Zairoju. There's also a very beautiful sky sparrow with a very long and beautiful tail, named Zyaok. There is also a colorful carp named Zyali. It was forcibly brought ashore. Fortunately, it can survive out of the water, otherwise it would have been braised by its little owners. There's also a very large glass swallowtail butterfly named Zyode. He was caught in the blink of an eye. They are not very majestic or powerful. The only thing they have in common is that they are beautiful. And their mission is to bring little red flowers to welcome the little master's sister and mother. Clap silently and let the little master play with them as much as he wants. Of course, they felt that it would be better to be caught by their little master than by other humans. Because the spiritual energy here is extremely rich, it is simply a holy place for cultivation. If it continues like this, they will become even stronger and even evolve their bloodline. Furthermore, there are countless precious and rare resources, herbs, minerals, and holy springs, which are simply wonderful. Not to mention that you can hold on to the thigh of the Killin mythical beast. Plus, there are multiple protective formations and barriers here. It is extremely safe. It's unbelievable who did all this here. Perhaps both of the young master's parents were extremely terrifying human beings. I dare not imagine further. Anyway, they don't want to leave. They don't want to leave at all. It doesn't matter whether the little master is filial or not. The main thing is that they especially like wearing little red flowers. Young master, we are here to help you. These days, while the little master was out doing things, they were all obediently planting flowers and plants here. They even wanted to eat those herbs at one point, but finally they were overcome by reason and became hard-working gardeners. Okay. Of course Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao would not refuse, since they had captured this person through their own strength, a friend. In this way they tinkered for many days and nights, laughing and having fun. In addition to making clothes for my parents, when I'm tired, I learn about formations, and when I'm sleepy, I just lie down and sleep. It can be said to be a combination of work and rest. After all, it feels like practicing is quite simple and is far less difficult than making clothes. This day, they finally completed this huge project. Yeah, Zioho, we have made clothes for Daddy, Mom, and Sister. And our own. I also learned various formations by the way, and also refining pills and making talismans. Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao looked at their masterpiece with satisfaction, their excitement evident in their expressions. Zioju, Zyok, Zyali, and Zyodi were all speechless. You call this a coincidence? It just happened to be so convenient. Chapter 28. I have set up a formation, just waiting for the unlucky guy to come. Zyro, how? Let's go hang up the clothes in Daddy's little room. Okay, sister. After Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao looked at each other, they ran to a small room, then hanged their masterpieces on the walls. With a look of great satisfaction, he said, "That's Daddy and Mommy's big clothes up there. Here are our little clothes. In between us are my sister's baby clothes. Daddy, Mom, and Sister will definitely like the whole family costume." The two little ones' idea was so simple, but it kept them busy for a long time. Their faces were filled with anticipation and longing. Then, sister, what other gift should we prepare for our sister? I can't believe it, but the thought behind it is great. That's right, a small gift is a token of great sentiment. Even though the dress is so light, the sentiment must be immense. Then there's no need to prepare anything else for my sister. That's right, Ziohao. Let's go and try out the results of our recent practice. Okay, sister. As they were talking, the two little ones ran out. Several monsters squatted on the side, quietly watching the two little masters run past them. Then I got excited. "Little master, I'll play with you." Zioju wagged its tail wildly and stuck out its tongue to beg for play. It was obvious that it was very satisfied with being caught. "Young master, we want it too." The Tianyao bird transformed into a free-range chicken and followed with a clattering sound. The colorful carp showed an extremely intelligent look, staring with wide eyes, and hurried to follow. However, he found that he ran too slowly on land and immediately asked for help. Zioju, let me ride you." "Get out of here, stinky fish." The little carp had no choice but to spit out a bubble to wrap himself up and roll around on the ground. The glazed swallowtail butterflies were also running on the ground. Their legs and feet were so busy that they soon became limping. Okay, then you guys follow me. Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao then ran out of the Pure World Valley with a group of monster companions. The Pure World Valley was practically surrounded by mountains on all sides, and from the outermost edge, they were surrounded by a bottomless abyss. However, the area was quite large, so it was difficult to see the surrounding cliffs. However, there are also some passages out of the valley that appear extremely flat and vast. Not long, so they found a good place. Zyro, how this place is so big, let's set up the formation here. Sister, why are you here? You're stupid. Daddy said that practice is the only criterion for testing truth. When we set up the formation, we have to find someone to test its power. Otherwise, we won't have a chance in the valley. Oh, then, are those people really that unlucky? Probably not. We are only 3 years old, so the formations we set up are definitely not that powerful. Then, sister, let's get started. Okay, Zyoju Zyrok, Zyrali Zyrodi, come and help. Little master, we are here. Several monsters became even more excited. If you can't beat them, just join them. Who cares whether others or other monsters are unlucky or not? Just take down as many as you can as long as the little master is happy. Then he ran around with some spirit stones, setting up the formation base and determining the range of the formation. As for the center of the formation, it is more important and requires precious and rare spiritual objects from heaven and earth. But for the young master, they are not valuable things, so it doesn't matter. Soon they were set up. Little master, it's your turn to show off. Okay, Chen Ziyuan's face was serious, proving that she was not joking. Zyro, how I'll go first. Then she took out a killing crystal, thinking that it would be more suitable as the core of the killing array. As for how much it was worth, that was not within her consideration. Anyway, she would definitely not let her father squander the money. Okay, sister. Upon seeing this, Chen Zihao and many monsters immediately stepped aside to make room for Chen Ziyuan. Then 5 completely different heads popped out from the bushes in the distance, staring expectantly. The main reason is that I'm afraid that Chen Ziyuan will accidentally hurt them when he sets up the formation for the first time. Chen Ziyuan just waved his hand and power burst out. He said in a baby voice, "The killing array begins." Full of momentum. That's right, she wanted to try out the killing formation she had just learned. Then, with the killing crystal as the core of the formation and many spirit stones as the base of the formation to provide energy, a formation soon began to take shape. Rise from the ground. It's done, it feels so simple. Chen Ziyuan's eyes lit up. I just don't know how powerful the Kainkun killing formation left by my father is. Several monsters were speechless, but they couldn't help but shudder when they felt the murderous aura of the killing formation. What level of formation is this? Anyway, I feel like if they were trapped there, they would definitely be plucked, scaled, and have their necks slashed, and then have to heat up a wok with oil. A chill went down my spine. Sister, you are so awesome. Chen Zihao supported her as always. As for the grade of the Kainkun killing formation, that was not within their consideration. They only cared about whether they could learn it or not. Then he ran out unwillingly. Sister, it's my turn. Come on, Zaya Ohao. After Chen Ziyuan finished speaking, he discovered several monsters hiding behind their heads in the bushes. He immediately hid inside, stuck his head out, and stared at his brother. Don't worry, sister. Chen Zihao's face was also extremely serious. Then he took out a dream flower as the core. Just throw it out and it looks so handsome. 9 Netherworld illusion formation. Come out. Boom. Immediately afterwards, a dream formation appeared, squeezed next to the Kainkun killing formation. The little face lit up with joy, success. That's right, what he set up was an illusion array. Several monsters exclaimed that it was outrageous when they saw this. Although this illusion array did not give the monsters the same sense of oppression as the killing array, it seemed that just one look at it would make them fall into it, get lost, and unable to extricate themselves. This seems to be somewhat similar to Zyoju's racial ability. Chen Ziyuan also did not forget to encourage his brother. Zaya Ohao, you are also very impressive. This 9 Netherworld illusion formation must be quite impressive. Chen Zihao pondered for a moment and said seriously, Thank you for your praise. Ah, sister, why are you hitting me? Surprisingly, Chen Ziyuan had appeared beside him. Fuck you, it's my turn now. Chen Ziyuan felt his brother getting swollen, so he slapped him directly. Chen Zihao had no choice but to hold his beaten head and retreat to the side in frustration. And then, boom, boom, boom. 9 Dragon Fire formation. Sister, it's my turn. Heavenly Demon Water formation. Eternal Gravity Array. Sister, it's my turn again. Golden Thunder Sky Thunder Formation. Boom Boom Boom. Thousand Autumn Meteorite Formation. 18 Levels of Hell. 10,000 Demons Tide Formation. 10 Tribulations and 8 Difficulties Formation. The Devil is Coming to the World. Absolute Wind and Sand Formation. Boom 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 Boom. Defense Formation. Teleportation Array. I'm so tired. Several monsters were stunned. We agreed to just try it out. Why are you comparing yourself with others? Well, it depends on which unlucky guy is so unlucky. Silent and dared not say a word. But Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao could no longer bear it. My eyelids are drooping from fatigue. Sister, I'm so tired, Tilda. Zio Hao, let's get some sleep first. After saying that, the two kids couldn't hold on any longer and fell down on the spot. Woke up in a sound sleep. Young master. Several monsters were startled and ran over immediately. After realizing that the little master was just asleep due to tiredness, he was speechless. Then he surrounded Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao and fell asleep beside them. Just wait for the unlucky guy to come. Chapter 29. The regretful Qingshuan Dao sect master and his wife go hand in hand to slay the demon. Fairyland. Chen Zhenai appeared again, and many powerful people in Qingshuan Dao sect were no longer calm. He has actually reached such a realm? Sect leader Yi Qingshuan sighed. Before, he certainly knew that Chen Zhenai had deliberately exposed his aura to attract many powerful immortals. However, because Chen Zhenai was also a disciple of their Qingshuan Dao sect, he did not go there, and the Qingshuan Dao sect would not pursue the offense. But no one could have imagined that Chen Zhenai had become so powerful, single-handedly forcing back many immortal emperors. He might even have reached the peak of the immortal emperor realm. He was only one step away from becoming a supreme immortal, and it was very likely that he would even break through to the supreme immortal realm in the future. He was even more glad that he didn't go. Otherwise, if Chen Zhenai didn't give him face, it would be even more embarrassing. The great elder said in a deep voice, "Master, this is true. It is said that even the immortal emperors of the major sects came forward personally, but were unable to do anything about it, not to mention the immortal lords." He also couldn't believe it. Many immortal emperors who came forward had all been met with setbacks. He wondered why Chen Zhenai was doing this. Yi Qingshuan sighed. Then he fell silent, not saying a word. It seems that Chen Zhenai is still blaming us. The great elder's face looked a little unhappy. After all, if Chen Zhenai got unhappy and ran back to beat them up to vent his emotions, they would not be able to withstand it. But there's nothing we can do. Back then, he was at the height of his fame and attracted too much attention. Not to mention that his cultivation has been completely dissipated. Our Qingshuan Dao sect can't afford the consequences of his actions. It is conceivable that if Chen Zhenai, such a powerful immortal emperor, had cultivation, everything would be fine. Unfortunately, he does not have it. In this case, once he has any karma, it will inevitably implicate the Qingshuan Taoist sect. For example, if the demons invade the 33 immortal realms again, the first place they will look for is their Qingshuan Taoist sect. For the sake of the sect, they had no choice but to expel Chen Zhenai from the sect and downplay the cause and effect. This was the overall situation. Yi Qingshuan felt mixed emotions. As the immortal emperor, he still has such tremendous pressure, which really makes him uncomfortable. It's all my fault. I listened to the slander back then. If he can hold on for a while, then the immortal Emperor Yang will eventually become the immortal emperor of my Qingshuan Dao sect. The Qingshuan Dao sect will also undoubtedly be ranked first among all the major immortal sects. He may even have a strong chance of achieving the absolute immortal. Unfortunately, one wrong step leads to another, and now it's too late. Slander, the great elder was stunned. Master, didn't you say you were afraid the demons would come after our Qingshuan Dao sect? Could there be some other hidden secret? Yi Qingshuan nodded. This is my miscalculation. The great elder was a little angry. Master, who is it? This is a plot to sow discord. Suddenly he didn't feel any guilt anymore. They were just being fooled by others. The past is the past, and you don't need to know. Yi Qingshuan obviously didn't want to explain anymore. As for Chen Zhenai, why bother? The great elder had no choice but to accept the sect master's refusal. I don't know, but his temperament seems to have changed drastically. He claims that he's no longer interested in anything in the immortal world. I don't know what he means. Doesn't he want to pursue a more powerful realm? Yi Qingshuan fell silent again. Maybe it's just the feeling after disappointment. Compared to this, the fact that he has enemies among the immortal sects is more worthy of speculation. Regarding this point, not only were many immortal sects confused, but those who were just watching were also confused. They didn't know which immortal sect had offended him. The great elder speculated. Could it be that Chen Jun has already noticed something? Yi Qingshuan shook his head. Perhaps, but obviously he seems to be caught in another cause and effect. Hearing this, the great elder had some enlightenment in his heart. Since they were all smart people, he could naturally figure it out. The sect master mentioned another cause and effect, which means that the person who alienated them was not among the many top immortal sects. So even if Chen Junai noticed something, it wasn't his old enemy. Instead, it was an enemy from another cause and effect. Then what is this other cause and effect? Yi Qingshuan said nothing, because he really didn't know. Seeing this, the great elder said again, Master, since there is something hidden, then I will go see Chen Junai. As long as we explain it clearly, perhaps he will come back to Qingshuan Dao sect. And there's that girl Mo Qingru. She and Chen Jun have always been close, so maybe they can talk. Yi Qingshuan remained silent.